So, can we farm? Can we farm more blue essence? Can we do the west side?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Cool.
Same
Six.
boat.
All right. Awesome. I'm getting a lot of feedback from your mic. Keep. Thanks.
Oh, my bad. Didn't realize I was unmuted there.
Um. So we should all run with the fire spells. I saw a random wheel of fortune thing. I think that might be you, Sphinx. But
Yep, that's me. I'll switch it. I had a different build on from earlier.
Okay, thanks. Oh shit, no. Oh, okay. It's alright. I forgot about West Side Farming. So we'll run through this, and then. All right, let's switch my AOE to Flame Wave, Heat Wave, Fey Heat Wave. Okay.
Yeah, this is the one. So Jesse Michaels he got, it looks like from his post, this is the tweet repost here, is that he came out and he's been kind of doing the sensationalism thing recently. This is the biggest thing you need to watch, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out it was just rehash of stories about UFOs shutting down nukes. And then now he was doing the same thing a couple days ago again, going, I've got this new whistleblower. This whistleblower says that he's got this crazy story. We talked to the whistleblower. I actually didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. But so if I get this wrong, fact check me. The rumors are that he claimed to have seen an orb and that he saw some kind of magical UFO technology in addition to an orb just floating freely. And once again, the problem here is these people don't understand technology, so they have no basis to understand if that's human technology or alien technology or what have you. So even if I take what he says on face value, it's just another story about a guy who's not in the know, who has no idea about what's possible. Now, the big problem is that the moment in today's day and age that you come out with a story like this, where it's like, oh, he believes what he's saying, that's great. A lot of people believe what they're saying, and it's complete bullshit. Happens all the time. So if you're coming out with these trust me bro stories, like Jesse Michaels was doing, you have to expect the criticism. They are going to shatter the credibility of anybody. Like, turns out this guy has PTSD and some other stuff. They're going to destroy your credibility. That's the first thing they're going to do. If you have no hard evidence and you're coming out here telling stories and you're hyping the person up to be a whistleblower, you should expect the pushback. And the thing that I'll say that has really actually impressed me, one of the things I learned about this particular case was that I learned that, wow, the MH370 videos are even more obviously true than what I realized. If the MH370 videos were actually fake, there would be an army of people approving it every single day. Every single time they got posted, there would be people showing the exact overlay of the full graphic that they claim was used, or people showing Wayback Machine archived images of the satellite images that they claim were used to make the videos. People would be showing the proof in my replies all the time. Because people love to debunk stuff. That's what we learned from the Sean Ryan case, the Matt Livelsberger case. That's what we learned from the Jesse Michaels case. The fact that people can't do that from the MH370 video shows you how incredibly powerful the evidence is. It's so overwhelming. And of course, there's people that don't believe it. There's never going to be a scenario where everybody agrees. Even if the videos are admitted to be real, you know what I'm talking about, for some reason they live under a rock. Here it is again. Even if this video was admitted to being real, and the arrow people said that the videos were real, there would still be a significant percentage of people that would just refuse to admit it. They would say, no, it's 100% fake, no matter what. Like, there's a significant percentage of people it doesn't matter, right? So you're never going to convince everybody that's out there. So I thought it was kind of surprising when Jesse Michaels was surprised that he got so much pushback, because he's been sensationalizing the buildup of this amazing whistleblower. So once again, I like Jesse, but I've probably burned the bridge with Jesse, and it's clear that Jesse has aligned himself with alien heads people that are out there. That's totally fine. I am fine with people making their own decisions, doing whatever they want to do, ally yourself with whoever you want to ally yourself with. But the reality is, the 0-point energy disclosure people are going to be right.
God damn it, I'll swap
Anything that
the
you prove
jerk
on the
off
alien
next
head,
round.
woke disclosure side, like, it's only going to corroborate us. It's going to corroborate us, and eventually, the web of lies is going to become too much, and it's going to come out that we have this technology, and people are going to want to know why you were lying to them about alien technology and distracting them about alien invasions and shit like that when we could have had free energy. And what I'm going to tell people when they say, hey, Ashton, you've been out there exposing free energy for years now, and everybody said you were a crazy guy, what have you. What is your thoughts on these other UFO disclosure people? I'm going to say they've been gaslighting you and lying to you, trying to get you to focus on aliens, when the reality is we could have free energy for many decades, but we've been hiding it for national security. And all the people saying that they're protecting national security, don't worry, this video's coming soon, all those people are basically just gaslighting you because they don't want to admit that the United States government has figured out a new energy source and they've been weaponizing this energy source and they don't want to risk other countries getting access to it. That's the hard truth. Because all these disclosure people, they've all just been giving you a crock of bullshit. Crock of bullshit that's basically been signed off by the federal government. They've blessed it, they've ordained it. They said, you can go ahead and tell people about aliens as long as you never mention 0-point energy, never mention that we can extract energy from the vacuum, and never mention cold fusion or any of the stuff that we've been weaponized with it. And now that I just said that, realize how much we've influenced people. We've even influenced Sabine Hassenfelder, an extremely prominent academic mainstream physicist. Well, I think she's kind of against some of the academia, but still mainstream. She's been making posts about scalar physics and ether and cold fusion recently. So we're going to skip ahead on our timeline. We're going to jump into that just because it feels more natural. So here's Sabine explaining cold fusion.
The strong nuclear force takes over. Crossing the so-called Coulomb barrier requires a lot of energy at first, but the fusion itself frees more energy than it requires. Usually one tries to cross the Coulomb barrier like the sun does, with enormous heat and pressure. Cold fusion, in contrast, is the idea that one doesn't need this. That instead one can deposit the nuclei into some solid-state material, and that this will lower the electrostatic repulsion between them. Usually one uses...
I mean, bro, you can tell we planted the seed of doubt. We have planted the seed of doubt in Sabine Hassenfelder. I can just tell. If you guys don't know this quote, this reference, this is a reference to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where Shake plants the seed of doubt, or wait, Meatwad, someone plants the seed of doubt in one of the other characters, and then they slowly start to realize that they're gay, because they made them think that they were gay. This is the same idea as that we planted the seed of doubt in Sabine Hassenfelder, where now she's starting to wonder, are these cold fusion people real? And then she's going and she's looking into it, and she's realizing, oh shit, there's like a bunch of people that have been doing different types of cold fusion experiments, and they're showing positive results. Yes, we've incepted her. We incepted Sabine Hassenfelder. And she's not the only person we've incepted. We've incepted Sean Ryan, we've incepted Joe Rogan. You think these people be talking about cold fusion without Ashton Forbes and ZPE Disclosure talking about cold fusion being real? No fucking chance. No chance. There's nobody out there using the term cold fusion except for me and you guys. We're like the only ones. Even the cold fusion people are calling it low energy nuclear reactions. So I have to say, I'm excited about this video. I was excited about this video, even though she tries to poo-poo it at the end. Sabine, if you haven't figured out Sabine's like whole thing, her whole
32.
Shtick, her whole shtick is she's like grumpy old German.
Oh,
woman.
I didn't put. Wow, I'm such a fail.
Old German woman as well.
We gotta escape. Sorry, guys.
Probably means like,
I didn't even put all 5.
She would always say that. And this is like their thing, is that they're grumpy old behind the scenes. You look behind the veil. They're sitting there going, wait, are they possibly right? They're doing the equations. They're looking at the 0-point energy and they're going, oh man, he might be right about that 0-point energy. But she looks at the papers and she didn't debunk any of the papers I've ever posted. Instead, she takes a low-hanging fruit. So shout out to Sabine. We're gonna win her over, guys. We're gonna win her over. We can fix Sabine Hassenfelder. It can happen. And when we do, I feel like we'll get full disclosure. But she's a serious physicist. Let me handle these donations as well.
Let's go.
I got these magic orbs, man. Thank you, Job Martinez. Appreciate you, Job. Steve Pendleton, thank you for all you're doing. Appreciate you for that donation, brother. Jay Varga, too. Have you compared notes with the Le Mans journalist? Yeah, I have. Florence Chang is the only one I actually respect. Out of all the official, the original investigators of MH270, Florence Chang is the only one I respect. And I don't think she's on board with the idea, but she at least will like listen. And I think that I presented some strong evidence that she can't really ignore. But she doesn't really believe the plane went to Diego Garcia. She doesn't believe those people saw the plane on the island. She just believes like there's some other weird explanation. I'm rolling on the floor laughing at your red note bit. Like, I'm probably gonna get canceled for that, honestly. Kevin Miller, again for posterity, Sabine is going to follow you on Red Note. Freiburg Winterberg was the key. She plays in the Freiburg Winterberg, by the way, was in her message boards, arguing with her. Not really, but he was in her message boards. We found the old posts. I never posted them, but if there's any secrets out there, if you have any skeletons in your closet, we're gonna find them. You need to contact Burning Bright. He's researching the connection between Trump and Nikola Tesla. I'll let other people figure that out. But thank you very much for the donation. Appreciate it. So let's play out the rest of this video.
Click.
Deuterium, that's an isotope of hydrogen, asks the nuclei to fuse and puts it in a metal like palladium for the solid-state object. Cold fusion has an unfortunate history of fraud, hype, and just bad science, which we talked about in an earlier episode, but it's not all bad science. There's reliable evidence that some solid-state materials actually do enhance nuclear fusion rates. Cellular, for example, builds a device called the Nutristor that sends a low-energy beam of deuterium into a titanium plate. The deuterium accumulates in the plate until it starts to fuse. This emits neutrons, so they use it as a neutron generator. However, it's an example of cold fusion, just that the beam takes more energy to create than one gets out from the fusion.
These are all probably over people's heads. So they talk about 3 different ways they can do it: shielding, scattering, quantum tunneling. I think is one of the other options. So let's go to the end.
That's the first effect. The atomic one exists, but happens too rarely. The second one exists, but eats up too much energy. And the third one, I'm not sure exists, which in other contexts is called the Holy Trinity. That said, I strongly support further studies on cold fusion, because these are low-cost, small lab experiments with a potentially huge payoff. And if it works out, not only would we have basically unlimited clean energy, we'd also have amazing material for a blockbuster movie. It could be called Honey, I Shrunk the Coulomb Barrier, or The Man Who Knew Too Much About Palladium. No, I know.
Those jokes didn't land, but we'll let it slide, Sabine. So Sabine basically doesn't really understand cold fusion that well. I mean, she understands the basic concepts of what we're talking about there, but she
I
obviously
missed
doesn't know
that
deep dive on it. So really, I think the form of cold fusion that I like the best is not what they're doing with palladium rods and deuterium and heavy water. That to me is stupid cold fusion. Now, so let me just break down for you. There's really 2 different main types of cold fusion. There's 1 and 2, but I'm going to list just 2 types. One is what they're doing is they're putting metal rods in water, heavy water, and then there's a chemical reaction that occurs that causes the water to heat up, potentially to boil. That would be the idea. Is that you would force the water to boil, and then the boiling water would cause steam, which would use to spin turbines. That's one method of doing cold fusion. That's basically the Pons and Fleischmann 1989 what they were trying to do. In my opinion, the much better method to do it is to create an EVO, an exotic vacuum object of plasma, and then have the plasma generate electrostatic currents, also known as electricity. Have the plasma become a battery, where the positive and negative charges are separated, which causes what we know as current, electricity, like lightning bolt. So that you can use the plasma to extract electricity directly. Now, what people were claiming is that when you do this, the
Let's
current
all
is much
go
lower,
up into
means you don't get as much energy out of it. Well, still better in my opinion than heating up water and boiling it, turning it into steam, and then having that spin a turbine. Gotta be more efficient than that. And then it's just another engineering problem. The next engineering problem is, okay, well, how do you amplify the amount of energy? Don't worry,
so
you
we can stick together.
If you're not familiar with the equations that I'm talking about for amplifying energy, check out one of the previous live streams on creating a black hole superweapon, or check out the equations by Salvador Pais in his magnetically confined fusion patent igniting fusion ignition. Equations 6, 7, and 8, or maybe 7, 8, and 9. Anyway, check those out. Okay, so the next one is Jeremy Corbell. Oh boy, this one's gonna be tough, guys. Basically, every single alien head out there has got some new thing coming out. Now, for Jeremy Corbell, his thing is that he partnered with TMZ, and TMZ made some video about Jeremy Corbell releasing some new video. Guys, this is going to go about, like, we might literally destroy the credibility of all these UFO people within the next week. Within the next week. Like, every single one of them. You do not want to be hitching your wagon to these people right now because it is sink or swim for some of these people. Let me see if I got this on my bookmarks. Yeah, I'm going to have to just Google his name. So, Jeremy Corbell, he put out this trailer for this new episode of, here it is, we got it. And I watched the episode too, so I didn't really watch it, I watched like a few minutes of it.
Since the last time you saw me, a lot has gone down. Releasing the jellyfish UFO has put a target on my back.
This is let me stop you right there. Releasing the jellyfish UFO has put a target on my back. Chat. I can't even chat. Like, this is where I pretty much have to stop. I don't even want to watch anymore. Because there's obviously so much horseshit already. We're only 18 seconds into this video. And the first 15 seconds of it was like, you know, cut-ins or whatever for the TMZ. Imagine if I sensationalize all the MH370 stuff as much as this. Jeremy Corbell thinks revealing the jellyfish UFO put a target on his back. Imagine revealing videos that are the fate of a missing airliner that the United States zapped out of the sky and covered up. Does this mean that I can claim that my life is in danger? Like, by comparison, what Jeremy Corbell is revealing compared to what I'm revealing, there's really no comparison. Jeremy Corbell is revealing nothing. Nothing that risks nothing at all. And I'm going to show you today these are 100% fraud. I'm going to show you very clearly that Jeremy Corbell is completely full of shit, and he's releasing videos that aren't even new or not even his own.
Potential threat. There are two Department of Justice investigations. We made public some information that people didn't want out. I wouldn't take any chances if I were you right now because you've got a bullseye on you. The closer you get to the truth of this thing, the more pushback you get. New information has come forward. I think people are ready for the next level. We have members of Congress who believe that not only are there extraterrestrials on Earth, but that they have built bases.
At the end of the day, we just want the truth.
The whole point of those clips was just to be like, I'm hanging out with congressmen. Look at me hanging out with Nancy Mace and Matt Gaetz and Tim Burchett. Aren't I so cool? Like, 100% that's the point of it. Like, I cannot, like, it's so disappointing to see Congress, like, interacting with this level of sensationalism. If anything hurts the UFO topic, this hurts the UFO topic more than anything. When normal people see this, they just go, this is 100% a money-making scam. That's what this comes across as.
I provided them a 20-plus page report that the world is looking for right now about the Immaculate Constellation and the man who authored it.
So, did Jeremy Corbell actually provide that report? So remember, we looked through that report. We might be one of the only people that's looked through the actual report. 20 pages long, 170 items or something like that. Hal Puthoff is mentioned 93 times. It's actually a good report. Do I believe that Jeremy Corbell had anything to do with putting it together? No. I think he's literally stealing credit right here from whoever put together that report, and he's pretending like he put it together. I could be wrong, but if I'm right, then the way he's phrasing this right here is literally just stealing credit from somebody else. Putting together a 20-page report of all these UFO scenarios and scientists, that's an accomplishment. Do I think that Corbell did it? No, I don't think Corbell did it. I think he's literally stealing somebody else's work.
I took the risk of walking a whistleblower into multiple meetings, unannounced.
I took the risk of walking a whistleblower into unannounced meetings. Now, this is obviously bullshit because you don't get unannounced meetings with Congress. That's not a thing that happens. You have to schedule the meetings with the Congress people, and they usually just ignore you. How do I know? Well, ask me how I know, guys. So, like, he's just making shit up here. Like, literally just making shit up.
When they saw you testify, it fucking gave them balls to come forward. It's not a decision for your personal life. Based upon what this person knows, this is huge.
Do you believe that the federal government is knowingly concealing evidence about UAPs from the public? Yes, sir. 100%. Yes.
Yes, think you're going to tell the truth. If they don't, then I will.
There is a document that will be entered into the congressional record today about Immaculate Constellation.
Congress has lied to the American public. It is immeasurably dangerous if they lied about this. She knew it was a lie. So
What is he talking about here? Congress lied to the people? Congress was questioning whistleblowers. Congress can't, it doesn't even make sense to claim that Congress lied. I don't even understand the argument he's trying to use here. It's clearly just to build up more drama. And whoever just said in the chat, you realize it's scripted. That's the whole point of what I'm telling you. Is that every part of whatever this bullshit is that's being sold here is scripted. But it's trying to base it on real events. To try to claim that it's somehow got more authenticity because it was a real hearing that happened. Congress didn't lie during any hearing. How could they? They weren't the ones who were testifying. The ones who were testifying were Tim Gallaudet, Mike Gold, I think his name was, Schellenberger, and Lou Elizondo. Yeah, it's clearly scripted psyop. That's exactly the point of this live stream, is to show you this is fucking scripted. Because anyone who watches this, like, this isn't natural, this isn't organic. The way all these people retweet each other as well is not organic at all, chat. It's not organic. It's clearly scripted. I wouldn't surprise me if they have a literal PR coordinator coordinating them, like, oh, okay, you retweet this person now, I'm about to drop it. You know, at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, you need to retweet this stupid psyop that Jeremy Corbell is pushing.
you want to explain it while we're recording? We're recording right now. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm fucking going. Look everybody in the fucking eye. Whoever fucking lied, I'm going to say it in front of everybody.
Ooh, y'all, whoever effing lies, I'm gonna say it in front of effing everybody. Ooh, I'm badass. Ooh. This is the same guy that's literally afraid to even talk to me. This same guy that's talking all badass, he's literally terrified of saying my name in a public setting. Let that sink in, chat. Does he really sound like a badass? I'm just a normal dude. I'm not a government agent or anything like that. This dude's terrified of talking about me, talking about MH370 videos, which are far more compelling than anything he's ever released. You're not done taking him down yet either. Look at this garbage.
We're dealing with a subject that is so explosive and so revolutionary. And anyone who's managing an empire that has a stake in keeping its power structure, they're not going to play nice.
When you're talking about people coming forward and those people no longer existing, that's a problem.
I can't, chat. I can't. I really can't. And this is the thing. What somebody just said is that if you are coming forward in the situation that Jeremy Corbell's LARPing as right there, then you get Matthew Libelsberger. That's what happens to you. All of a sudden, you're in a Cybertruck that blows up in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas. And then the FBI is releasing these letters saying, like, you're a crazy person. That's what happens when you're a real whistleblower. So, honestly, super cringe. And I wish that that was all there was to expose. But there's actually more. So I decided to click the link, okay? And check it out. Now, where is it? Because you have to see this firsthand. Here it is. Hold on. Okay. So Jeremy Corbell claims to, this is the first episode of the thing. We're not going to show the whole thing. I don't want to get copyright strike. But this is the first episode of the show. I just clicked on the link for you guys. The TMZ show. This is episode number 1. This is Jeremy Corbell explaining this video that he's got here. Okay, let's see what he says about it.
It's a military video from an active deployment. This one caught my attention in 2008. There's a military video from an active deployment where they know what they're looking at when they're out there. And to send it to
Let's
you
do
as
a,
level of power,
a
right?
clockwise. By the way, we'll attack everyone clockwise. So start from the one with the enemy closest nearest, and then go north, east, south.
Let me set the mood here. So Jeremy Corbell just claimed just now that he
We
was sent
have
this video that we're watching right here.
concentration.
This is the big reveal, apparently. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. My understanding is this is the big new video that is similar to the Nimitz that Jeremy Corbell is revealing.
I was looking at the thermals, can't see it back and forth. I'm gonna say it's about 200 meters. I kind of see something raise up. And I'll just kind of come off the floor from that distance.
It's number 4, Roger.
I would probably say it went about 25 meters off the ground and started elevating upward. I was like, this is weird. What the hell is this?
This thing is just lifting up, and they're watching it. Like, what is that super luminous thing in the middle of nowhere, Iraq?
I was like, I gotta film this. So I was looking through my cameras.
The Gable UFO is one of the most important UFO videos that's put out. Very clearly, an anomalous object do things that other rapid can't. And this looks in shape so similar.
Okay, let's skip to the reveal part here.
Decipher who's telling the truth, who has a story that I can help progress. It is astonishing.
Okay, so if you didn't understand all that context, Jeremy Corbell is claiming that he was sent this video and that he's revealing this video to the world. Any guesses on what comes next? Any guesses out there on what comes next? Brand new video revealed to the world by Jeremy Corbell. Any thoughts, friends? Turns out this video's been on the internet for 3 years. This video has been shared on Reddit and on YouTube for the last 3 years. This has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell. This video has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell. This video has been on the internet for the last 3 years. Here it is, October 16th, 2021. Here's the full video right here, exact same video. Jeremy Corbell was just sharing it. You just were watching it. Here's the real video without all the pageantry and the editing that they did to make it seem like Jeremy Corbell discovered this video. Yes, you are correct. Jeremy Corbell was just busted in real time. He did not reveal this video. This video has been out there and he's just stealing credit for it. I don't know why he's doing it. He didn't reveal any information on the TMZ clip about anybody who sent this to him. I think that what he really means, and the grip that he's pulling here, is he's saying like someone sent him a link to this YouTube video and now he's claiming to promote it. That's basically what's happening. At a bare minimum, in my opinion, he's completely exaggerated his ownership or situation regarding him revealing this video. If this is truly the video that he's claiming that he's now revealing for the first time that's never been seen before or whatever nonsense, well, now he's 100% busted. Whether or not this is a UFO or not, Jeremy Corbell has no rights to this video, and there's nothing special about him seeing this video. Just for absolute proof, I have the Reddit links as well that goes along with this. You guys know I always bring the receipts. Like, I dug into this, of course, because I wanted to figure out what the truth is. And I was surprised to find that this video had already been on the internet for many years. It wasn't just me. I think the credit goes to secret something or other on the internet. So let's go back. Here's, let me share the, and this was, I think that what people have been saying, I dug through all the Reddit posts. People are basically saying that this video has been on YouTube, and that they're saying that the YouTube link was the original. So the YouTube link was original, and then Reddit posted it. So we can see ago, October 18th, 2021. Northern Iraq, 2008, Drone Control Center UAP footage link. And not only does this just show that Jeremy Corbell is a complete fraud and a phony and a liar, but the other part too is that it shows that these people that are watching this, they don't know what it is. Even watching, let's watch the footage again. This is the original footage. They don't know, because they're caught in the sky. Caught in the sky. What does this mean? I saw this video years ago. I didn't know how to coding it. It's not that compelling. It could be the camera moving around here, not necessarily the object. In fact, I think you'll find if you go to my church, I think most people a year ago. Yeah, most people like this. I could be wrong. So, yeah. I don't know. If Jeremy Corbell is really claiming to be the discloser of this video, then, I mean, even if the video is real, the video could be real, but Jeremy Corbell doesn't deserve any credit for revealing it. Very weird stuff, man. So, yeah, apparently it's a 3-part series. It looks like just straight up slop, if you ask me. I mean, when I say slop, people are, what do you mean? I mean, like, the stuff that you feed pigs. Slop. It's garbage that doesn't really educate you in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it's meant to validate your emotions or experiences, but not really useful. Is the audio better? Okay. Hopefully it is. Sorry about that. Yeah, the video may have caused the problem. Okay, so that's the Jeremy Corbell thing. I think it's crazy that people are saying that I heard disclosure. Jeremy Corbell's trying to talk about his jellyfish UFO. Did anything? Nobody cares about jellyfish UFO. Unless you're going to show me a video that shows one of 5 observables like anomalous propulsion or zero inertia. You're not really showing me anything.
Oh my god.
This guy doesn't tell me anything. Could be a balloon for all I know.
Oh yo, you could win. You could win. Your attack goes in first. What? That's BS.
Oh my god.
That is fucking.
Okay. Okay. The next one.
Oh my god.
Guys, it happened again. Can you believe this? Hi, Ocean Eyes. How are you doing, Hey, Ocean? Can you believe that it happened again? Here you go. I just dropped this.
Many of these issues, Lou, are ones of national security. And what do you think that line is between the need for government transparency and secrecy? I mean, we talked about that a little bit with Ross. I mean, I can definitely see certain things we wouldn't want there to be out there, especially if we have information that could lead to sort of whether it's military dominance or more effective propulsion units. But should there be a push to make some of these cover-up programs a little bit more public?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've always said for the record, if I ever have to choose between national security, serving my country, and disclosure, I'll always choose national security. What I don't agree with is obfuscation, calling something classified simply because you're embarrassed or because you're trying to cover malfeasance. And that is what we're dealing with this topic. Because for decades, money has been siphoned off without letting Congress know, without letting the president know, and making decisions unilaterally on behalf of somebody, like i.e. the president. And you're talking about a middle who does not have that authority.
Can someone explain to me? You're out there claiming that there's aliens that are being covered up and that people are being killed to cover up this alien technology. Somehow we're going to disclose this without breaking national security? How the hell are we going to do that? This thing makes no sense at all. Do you know that almost all the MH370 FOIA requests have been rejected in the interest of, guess it, national security? We're literally hiding the technology in the interest of national security. But you're telling me you're going to choose national security over disclosure? Well, that means you're not really on the side of disclosure at all. Disclosure is disclosure of zero-point energy technology. That's what disclosure is. If disclosure to you is aliens, well then bravo, aliens are real, disclosure's already happened, here you go. I'm coming down to let you know right now, aliens are probably out there somewhere. If that's a big revelation for you, well then, here you go. Go ahead and, pour out your emotions and your heart over it right now. Because for 95% of America or the world, aliens existing doesn't change a single thing about their lives. Nothing at all. It's not going to break their mind. What's going to break their mind is when we find out that we can, and we should have been extracting free energy for like 100 years now. For like 100 years. That's going to break people's minds. Because everybody's been brainwashed into thinking that free energy is fake. And now you're going to tell them, oh, just kidding, it was actually real the whole time. Here's another Lou Elizondo clip.
I mean, between national security and disclosure, like real national security, I will national security.
Boom! Gotcha, bitch! And let's do one more. Let's do one more. I mean, I told you we're going to destroy this guy. It's not personal. It's really not personal. It's just that he's obviously, it's clear we figured him out, you know? It's clear we figured out Lou Elizondo. I thought I had one more clip. Oh, maybe it's in my, hold on. Maybe it's in my bookmarks. Okay, maybe not.
Shit.
Whatever. Okay, next thing, guys. Let's get on to it. Whew. Okay, Greer promised whistleblowers in the next 72 hours. So Stephen Greer actually started a podcast today, and I think we're going to talk about it on the next live stream. So in the interest of time, we're not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to let you know that in the podcast, Stephen Greer said in the next 72 or so hours, there should be new whistleblowers that are coming out. Now, do I believe any of these people? No, not really. So before you start getting at me and start adding me, going, Ashton, why do you believe Greer? Why do you believe whatever? I don't believe any of these people. I don't believe any of these people. I don't believe there's any whistleblowers coming out. I don't believe any of this stuff. But you know what? I'm going to sit and listen. So now we've got like 2 whistleblowers that already supposedly came out. We've got Stephen Greer's got whistleblowers coming out. We've got Matt Libelsberger. And spoiler alert, the next content after this is Coldheart has another whistleblower as well. We got whistleblowers coming out of our ears, chat. So if any of them are real, great. I don't believe Stephen Greer. In fact, I don't agree with him on his analysis of aliens, and I don't agree with him on his CE5 stuff. I just know Greer is right about the technology. We do have zero-point energy technology. He's right about that. He's right about that. And the moral of the story, I have to keep repeating this. The moral of the story is that nobody is 100% correct. No one out there is 100% perfect. So Stephen Greer can be right about the technology, and he can be wrong about aliens or CE5. That's okay. That's okay, guys. You don't have to agree with me as a person to agree with me in terms of my scientific beliefs. We don't all have to have the same politics to agree either. We don't need any of that stuff. That's the lesson people should learn. When I grew up, people would say that I don't agree with you, but I would defend to my death your right to say what you believe. We used to say that back in the 90s. Nobody says that anymore. Nobody says that anymore.
And by the way, this is why we go all the way back to the Clinton era. I had recommended a period of amnesty for people who've been involved in these programs, and even though there have been horrific things done, kidnappings, murder, torture, embezzlement, in the aggregate, probably trillions of dollars of federal monies, et cetera, and so on, that if people come forward and they actually come clean and agree to make a new chapter happen, this beautiful development for humanity, that they have amnesty extended to them. And by the way, this is why if you go all the way back to the Clinton era, I had recommended
that. Okay. So Greer is promoting for amnesty. He's promoting amnesty for the people that have been hiding this technology. Well, that's pretty big. This is the part where it's like, I think Stephen Greer sees it correctly. They're never going to admit to this kind of technology being real without, really what this is about is them getting protections for the crimes they've committed. That's what this has always been about. It's about protections for the crimes they've committed and the civil penalties that they would face for this stuff being real. That's what the PSYOP is all about. Now we understand what the PSYOP is about. Now we understand why they're trying to blame it on aliens. Because you blame it on aliens, and aliens aren't legally responsible for anything. Look at the difference between if aliens were responsible for MH370 versus if the United States government was responsible. We're talking about trillions of dollars in difference. So I'm just promoting a narrative for an incentive structure for why these people would want to blame aliens as opposed to blaming our own government for some of this technology. Just something to keep in mind, guys. And I'm not the arbiter of truth. You should not believe everything I say, but I hope that I present narratives to you that make you think outside the box, make you think critically about your preconceived notions. That's what I want to get. That's what I want you to take most of it. Not don't just hate these guys randomly, but like really judge what they're saying through a critical lens. Now the next one, here I'm gonna lay the groundwork. This is a brand new one as well. So Ross Coldheart and News Nation just started promoting like an hour ago, claiming that they have a brand new whistleblower that has seen UFO crash retrievals and supposedly they have a never before seen video of a UFO crash retrieval. Let me say that again. News Nation and Ross Coldheart are claiming that they have a never before seen video of a UFO crash retrieval. And they're claiming that they're going to post it on Saturday. I believe it's at 7 o'clock Central Time. Now, already, I'm extremely skeptical. Why? Because if you have some incredible footage, why would you wait to post it? It's Wednesday. You're going to wait till Saturday to post this amazing footage? This already reeks of marketing scam to me. My red flagometers are already going off, right? Yeah, post it right now. What are you waiting for? You're not going to get enough attention for having a UFO crash retrieval video? You're going to build up the drama for that? If you had a real UFO crash retrieval video, you would just put it on the internet immediately. You wouldn't want to hold on to it at all. Why wait? Exactly. Why wait? You would just post it on the video. You're going to get 100 million views, minimum. You would just disclose it. So now that I gave you that context, let's look at the whistleblower. We're just going to watch a clip. They released a clip of the whistleblower. We're going to watch the clip and we're going to judge for ourselves. Here's the whistleblower.
Try to get these guys.
Jake, I don't know what his full name is.
After seeing all kinds of things in my past, it was clearly something that was ridiculous. They confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP
Slime.
what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not even
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I'm not in the fight.
I don't like to judge people, but this guy doesn't blink one time through the 26 seconds that they have him on there, and his eyes are more wide open than I've ever had my eyes before. And I'm already starting to get vibes that like, okay, they're going to be able to attack his mental credibility here, for sure. And the other huge red flag I just heard, I'm going to repeat the red flag again so you guys can hear it. Here you go.
Was ridiculous. It's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force.
That's weird.
What we were working with that night was in fact NHI.
Yeah, I'm near you guys now.
So that's the scariest part. He's saying it was confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we saw that night was NHI. That's the PSYOP right there. We just found the PSYOP right there. Who are ranking members of the UAP task force? When I think of who are ranking members of the UAP task force, do you know who I think of right away? Who do you guys think of? Who do you guys think of when you think of ranking members of the UAP task force? For me, it's Lou Elizondo, number 1, right at the top. Exactly, Ed. Exactly. So right off the bat, now he gave away the game. He didn't decide himself that he was looking at aliens. He was told by Lou Elizondo that what he saw that night was non-human intelligence. Right?
Yeah, these bees
exactly.
are
Everybody
strong,
in the chat figures it out. Exactly. Now it's starting to make sense. Why? Because Ross Coldheart is connected to Lou Elizondo. All these people are connected to one another. They're doing psychological operations on people, trying to convince people like this. Like, you saw aliens that night, guy. Hey, you saw aliens. He's going, I don't know what I saw. I just saw a floating orb. And they're going, that must be alien technology. You need to go on News Nation and you need to tell everybody you saw alien technology. This is what they're literally doing. What I'm revealing to you is literally what they're doing. They're telling this guy, this poor guy, who's probably traumatized, maybe has PTSD, has seen some crazy shit out there. and he doesn't know what he's seen. He just knows it's crazy. He goes to these people, and they sit there and they brainwash him. And they go, "You've seen aliens. You saw aliens. He never saw any fucking aliens. I guarantee you this guy's not going to say he saw aliens. He's just going to say he saw some crazy technology." Now, do you want to know the other red flag? This is not in here, but it turns out this guy is connected to Jason Sands. Jason Sands, if you're not familiar with Jason Sands, he came out because he disclosed that he was interviewed as part of James Fox's The Program documentary, and he got widely discredited because his story was changing. He started posting a story on and talking about his story in X Spaces and on X. And Jason Sands' story started changing. And then at some point, Jason Sands, he got to a situation where he was saying, "Well, I was told by the government to execute aliens, blue telepathic aliens. They forced me to execute them," which is completely ridiculous. And it's not the kind of thing you say when you don't have any evidence to support it. So it turns out this guy that we're looking at here is also potentially connected to a guy that was already highly discredited because he was telling stories that were evolving and changing, and you start telling stories about how you were forced by the U.S. government to execute aliens. People are gonna think you're a little out there. So what I'm getting at is this: that guy's story might be real, maybe it's not, but the probability for a bust here, where this thing just goes horrible, is very, very high right now. The probability of this whole thing with this whistleblower that we're looking at right here, and this story about this video of a supposed crash retrieval, what's that video going to show? What's this video that they supposedly have? I have a feeling that it's not going to be as clear cut as the way they're presenting it. It's going to be a video, maybe a grainy cell phone video, and imagine if it's a video that's already available on the internet. If the video is already available on the internet, goodbye News Nation's credibility, goodbye Ross Coulhart's credibility. It's just so many ways that this can go so poorly, so poorly. Yeah, exactly. There's no chance it's a clear-cut video, right? And I feel like we're priming ourselves for a bait and switch or for a rug pull here, where they're hyping us up for this video that's never been seen before on Saturday. They're gonna show it in prime time, and then we're gonna see it, and it's gonna be a big letdown. It's gonna be a big letdown. It's probably gonna be a grainy video from super far away, and we can't see anything, And everybody's gonna expect that this is gonna be the big break, and then it's gonna be bullshit again. And why am I confident in that assessment? Because this story is played out time and time again with these same people over and over. They always come up with this sensationalist crap. They always try to use sensationalism to get their ratings up, and then they never deliver on the goods. And even when they deliver on the goods, like Jeremy Corbell did, it turns out it's already some video that's been publicly available for many years, and he's doing really nothing special. He's not even defending the veracity of the video. He's not presenting any new information about the video. Just literally pretending to take credit for it. Painful. For some of these guys, it probably is a cash cow, but for many of the people in this community, it's not a cash cow. For many of the people in this community, they're just trying to get the truth, and they're not making huge amounts of money off of this. For the people like the Jeremy Corbells with their sensationalist bullshit with TMZ, I'm sure he's doing just fine financially. And that's part of the problem with some of this too, is that these guys have a vested interest in keeping it going, instead of having a vested interest in finding the truth. Incentive structures are a big problem with how this stuff's all been covered up. They have all these perverse incentive structures from academia to the media to the government. Terrible incentive structures are what causes all this. So my prediction is that the Ross Coulhart big reveal ends up blowing up in their face, in News Nation's face. I'll be happy to be wrong. If they actually did real journalism and have a real amazing video, I'll be the first to apologize. I'll be the first. And we'll be covering it on the first stream after that, probably next Monday. So that's one stream right now where we basically just exposed everybody. And I want to announce that I talked to John D'Souza, and John D'Souza and I spoke about a lot of the ways of disinformation and some of these people that are out there in these narratives that they're pushing. Because we agree. That interview will drop next Sunday. So John D'Souza next Sunday. And then after that, I believe we have Avi Loeb up. So we've got some pretty big podcasts. I hope you guys are excited. And I hope you guys are appreciating the content. And then I'm going to have some awesome interviews after that. Okay, let's save Diego Garcia, and let's do some Hal Puthoff clips to close up the night, guys. So Diego Garcia is going to be sold back to Mauritius. And in fact, we're paying them to be able to rent out the land for Diego Garcia military base. So I made this pretty sweet clip that I'm going to play of Senator Kennedy talking about keeping Diego Garcia in our control.
The Indian Ocean, Madam President, as you well know, one of the most important parts of the world. Here's China. Here's India. China's trying to dominate all of these sea lanes. Here in the middle of the Indian Ocean is a group of islands called the Chagos Islands.
Right.
America has a military
There's
base.
4
Diego,
enemies and only 3 of us.
It is an extraordinarily important military base. One of the few in the world where our military can reload submarines. It houses a number of Navy ships. Our military base there houses long-range bombers that we use to carry out missions around the world.
So at the top.
We have to work hard every day to police our military base, not just the base itself, but the land, or rather the water surrounding it. Because China knows how important this military base is. The United Nations is saying, the
Then
United
we
Kingdom
divided our hits on these.
back. And President Biden could stop it. And so could Vice President Harris. But they're for it. All in an effort to curry favor with the people.
Nah, that was rough. 4 against 3.
Yeah.
And organic broccoli. Why on God's green earth would we do that? China, of course, is delighted because, number one, China's already started currying favor with Mauritius. Mauritius will now be in charge of the security of the Chagos Islands and our military base and the water surrounding it. President Trump, please pick up the phone and call the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and say, don't sign that treaty. Don't give away America's military.
I guess we're all next to each other now. I'm all the way down south.
We don't say anything.
I love that guy. That guy is funny as hell. I had to edit out like 8 minutes of that clip because it's just him rambling on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I'm here. It looks like I'm like near you guys.
If you thought I was going to edit out the NPR toe bags and broccoli, you don't know me at all. I could have edited that part out because it's political or whatever, but no way am I editing that part out.
And so could Vice President Harris. They don't work for it. All in an effort to curry favor with the people at the United Nations who walk around with their NPR tote bags and their organic broccoli. Why?
Who walk around with their NPR tote bags and their organic broccoli. That is just, there's zero chance I was editing that part out. I could have easily edited it out, no chance in hell. But real talk, guys, people ask me, hey, if you look at the replies on that, there's a bunch of people ask me, Ashton, I thought you said we're evil and Diego Garcia's where they teleport the plane. Yeah, so it makes it like a really important military base. If we're testing orbs out in the middle of the Indian Ocean at Diego Garcia, we probably should secure the area around that location. Seems like really important. People misunderstand me. I don't want to be exposing my own nation. I just want the truth. And it turns out the truth is the United States Navy and military and intelligence communities teleported MH370. That's the truth. I wish I could be exposing China or Russia, but the video shows the United States government did that. It doesn't make me not a patriot. So as a patriot, I want us to have the crazy orb technology. And I want us to have Diego Garcia, our secret Area 51 base that nobody really knows about, except for now everybody does. So I'm actually all aboard the idea of, we should not be selling this land. And it's 100% true. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could stop this sell. All they have to do is call up the Prime Minister of the UK and say, don't do it. And they won't. That's literally how much power the United States government has. We could literally just say, hey, don't do it, and we won't do it. So I'm coming out, full on, save Diego Garcia. Save Diego Garcia. President Trump needs to cancel this deal. It sounds like they're trying to rush the deal through before the next 5 days, 6 days, because President Trump might not allow it to happen. It's actually really messed up that we're like allowing this to happen. Although at the same time, we definitely like displaced all these people like 70 years ago and took over their land, so I get it from that angle, but at the base is too important for us to give up.
What's up, Nero?
The base is just too important for us to give up. Because I understand the reality that the world is not black and white. It's shades of gray, and we have to do evil stuff to maintain technological superiority. That's the hard truth, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do evil stuff, black operations, to maintain technological superiority. The last thing in the world that I would want to be is an Iranian or North Korean plasma physicist or semiconductor engineer. Those have got to be the last two things in the world I want to be. Because if you don't defect to the United States, you can imagine that they're going to take you out. They're not going to let anybody catch up to this technology. That's not in the plan. It's not in the cards. So I thought that clip was really good. And I think that we can't be sleeping on this Diego Garcia thing. People don't realize how important it is. And hello, Lauren White, raising up the ranks of my favorite fans. My favorite fans are out there. Welcome to the chat. Okay, last thing for tonight, guys. Hal Puthoff, okay? So I hope you guys are learning a lot tonight, and I hope you're learning a lot about the various narratives that exist. When I use PSYOP, I don't mean it as harshly as some people. Basically, I just mean like, what are the narratives that people are pushing out there in the UFO community? So here we go. Steve Justice interviews Hal Puthoff. This interview...
I think that's all of them, right?
1,000
Should escape
subscribers,
and
3,000 views. Steve Justice talks to Hal Puthoff. We're not going to do this whole
unless
thing.
they spawn back.
First part, technology light years beyond the public, 8 minutes in.
It's the fact that you realize that behind closed doors, technologies are being developed that are sort of...
All right, let's escape and then head it again.
So that made me recognize that I had a chance to get involved in that kind of work for the government again. I was trying to take. And as the years went by, eventually, because of my interest, I was invited to join Robert Bigelow's group called National Institute for Discovery Science, looking into all kinds of unusual topics.
So Hal Puthoff learned early on that
there was can you guys hear me now?
Hey, hey, Nero. Hey, Ford. Welcome.
And he's definitely former CIA and naval intelligence as
Hey
well.
guys.
I've been talking to him behind the scenes. Hal Puthoff is definitely Godfather. He's connected to intelligence
I
and
had a
engineer.
problem with
So
my
he
mic.
checks all the boxes. Then
What you guys doing? Farming shards? Blue shards?
Engineer general
yes.
So he starts talking about like how did he come up with 0 point energy.
And so that's why
West side.
Nice.
Full
team?
Yeah, full team at the moment. I'll tag you if anything.
Nice.
After.
Please do.
Basically, those equations are what we use to develop everything from light bulbs to batteries to Wi-Fi, you name it. But no one ever thought of taking Einstein's equations for general relativity and saying, okay, let's look at these from an engineering standpoint. Suppose I could engineer general relativity equations from Einstein, just like all the electrical engineers Maxwell's equations for electromagnetic effects. No one ever started doing that, actually. So anyway, that was my challenge that I gave myself, and I gave myself that challenge. That was part of the government's UAP program. And so I did a really interesting thing. I said, okay, looking at how UAP phenomenon will occur, and looking at, say...
Oh, have you tried, guys try doing with all almonds? The fight?
Yeah, that's what we're doing now for the farming.
So I'm going to skip ahead. Long story short, Hal Puthoff took general relativity,
Nice.
Einstein's general relativity, figured out that you can manipulate space-time with it.
Yeah.
Polarize the vacuum. Very similar to what Miguel Alcubierre did, where he realized you can make a warp drive using Einstein's equation. Hal Puthoff took it a step further. He said if you add this 0 point energy explains all the gaps in general relativity. Basically, 0 point energy upgrades general relativity to the next level. That's what it does, and that's what Hal Puthoff did. That's why he's the GOAT. 37 minutes in, he talks about the energy source for UFOs.
We'll take that inside of the vehicle. And when you and I talked on the phone, it was about there must be some mechanism that is simulating the effect of a black hole. There's a synthesis. Do you remember this discussion?
I do remember. Yeah, very, very interesting. Very, very.
Some effect must be synthesizing a black hole. Guys, the MH370 videos are real. Remember when Sal looked at this and he said they're creating a black hole? A wormhole is potentially a black hole. There may be no physics difference between the two of them. This is why everybody's talking about quantum entanglement, black holes, ER equals EPR, wormholes, because we're in uncharted territory here.
And that's where, for our audience sake, where this collecting materials that could be from crashes or whatever it happens to be things, unusual materials, are they a clue to how you might create the, I'll call it the energy source for engineering space-time? Is that a valid set of statements?
That's a valid set of statements, and since in general we don't make things in the lab that create these unusual general relativity space-time engineering effects, that means that therefore there must be some exotic material of some kind. It might be a black hole, mini black holes that maybe we'll find floating around in the cosmos at some point and be able to grab hold of them, and that might be a boost. Or we might find out that some unusual combinations of materials do an in-round run and create these space-time engineering effects without a lot of energy, and that would be great. So in fact, that's why I've been interested in the TTSA program, Project Atom, in collecting any materials that we can get that are claimed to have somehow been involved in the UAP phenomenon, whether it's fast retrieval or pieces falling off or whatever. And so that's why interesting materials attract my attention.
Right. And an analogy for our audience could be, the way we originally got light at night was from a fire. That also created lots of heat, but now we can synthesize light. You have, first came light bulbs, which did a lot of heat also, but it was a very different way of creating light, and now you have LEDs.
I thought there was a part about the fuel source for UFOs. Maybe I didn't get the right segment. Maybe it was right before that. Let's just check.
But in something very small, because one of the slides in your deck on space-time metric shows this distortion effect as a function of how close you are to a black hole or something like that. Where
okay, well, we talked about the black hole stuff, but we've talked about Hal Puthoff. Hal Puthoff mentioned the energy source is either 0 point energy or neutronic fusion, also known as cold fusion. Okay, plasma propulsion.
Most of the expenditure, most of your problem is carrying the fuel on the rocket as the rocket launches toward space. And so the actual payload it gets in space is 10% or less of the actual weight that you have to lift off the Earth. That's because you're carrying the fuel with you. Well, it turns out there's a whole other option. And it's not an option that you have to wonder if it's going to work. It's an option that has in fact been explored and proven. And that is, okay, let's not have our rocket carrying fuel. Well, how can you do that? Well, let's say we have a very powerful laser on the ground that shoots a laser beam at the back of the rocket. And then the rocket launches upward, not carrying any fuel. And it's not just photon momentum from the laser light. No, it's not that. You can have material in the back of your rocket, your satellite that you're trying to launch. And the intense laser beam shoots at the back, it heats up that material, and that makes a plasma behind your little rocket. And that plasma gives an enormous thrust to the rocket, and off it goes. Well, it turns out that this is a technology that has been investigated and actually experiments done and proven, both by NASA and by the Air Force. And so, whereas right now it costs something like $10,000 per kilogram, but a rocket in orbit or more, just being different propulsion from the ground can get you up there at like $1,000 per kilogram.
What I love about Hal Puthoff is how he's so open-minded. He's like, what if we just shoot lasers and use this like laser plasma propulsion to get stuff in outer space? Because the rocket, the fuel, most of the fuel is just to get to outer space. That's most of what the fuel is. And then we don't need the boosters anymore, so we drop the boosters off. Yeah, SpaceX and Elon Musk is like so primitive thinking that it makes, and I know Elon's a smart guy, so it goes to show me when you compare Elon's thought process to someone like Hal Puthoff, they're like so disparate. You have to realize that Elon Musk he's just running the front company basically. There's no way anyone can think that rocket technology is the future. You just can't. If you're a futurist type person, rocket technology is no chance. No chance. Because of the explanations that were just given by Hal Puthoff. It makes no sense. You don't want to have all this mass on your object when you're trying to move it around through space. You want it to be super light. That's the reality. Also, the other thing I want to shoot a little bit of shade at Elon Musk right now is that you don't get to be like a video game master on multiple video games while also like being super busy running major companies. It's not a thing you can do. How do I know that? Because I've played a lot of video games in my life. And when you're playing video games at that high of a level, you're either cheating, having somebody else play for you, or you're spending every day, all day working on it. So for some reason, there's this idea that Elon Musk is running these big companies and he's also like the best Diablo or Path of Exile player. I guarantee you it's full of shit. He's either lazy as hell and playing video games all day when he should be working, or he's in a situation where he's got somebody else playing the game for him while he's busy working. That's the true reality of the situation. As somebody that's been a gamer, I can guarantee you, there's not enough hours in the day to be one of the world's top video game players at any game and also be running multiple major companies. You're slacking somewhere. Sorry, but it's true, guys. Okay, one more clip I want to play from this. Hal Puthoff talks about waveguides here, which is interesting because I wanted to understand the idea of waveguides better.
When we first came across it, we did a big search, who makes this kind of stuff? And it was just a standard material development question that he asked, and that he's not satisfied with your answer. I can answer that, don't you? Yes, I can answer that very precisely. It turns out that when you want to transmit, let's say, gigahertz or microwave signals...
Yo, don't go.
And so a waveguide is like a metal pipe,
keep.
and you send a signal down through the pipe.
You're nowhere near us. You're
So
orange.
those waveguides have to have dimensions on the order of the wavelength of the signal.
Have to migrate
so, for example,
to the west.
Gigahertz signal may have a certain size in terms of centimeters and so on. So ordinarily, if you're going to send a signal from one place to another through a waveguide, you have to build your waveguide to be of the dimensions of the wavelength of the signal you're trying to send. However, it turns out that in this metamaterial kind of structures, it turns out that you can actually collapse to a microscopic level those waveguide requirements. So instead of needing a pathway that's roughly the size of the wavelength, you can cut it down by a factor of 30 or something. It's sort of like going from vacuum tubes, transistors, integrated circuits, that microminiaturization. It turns out that these particular phenomena of metamaterials, as we call them now, permit that kind of microscopically shrinking the size of what you need.
Yeah, so what they're saying there is that for these waveguides, you're trying to create a wave to go in a specific direction. And you want it to be a specific size. So how do you do that? You create a tube for it, a container for it, that is of a certain size, and that will force the wavelength down a specific shaft. And they're saying you can use metamaterials that can basically cheat this process and get your wavelength even smaller or whatever size you need it to be, without potentially making the size of the metamaterial the matching corresponding wavelength. So basically, metamaterials can allow us to create wavelengths of whatever size we want and whatever size we need. That's the big reveal right there. Seems pretty smart. Now, the last bit is where he talks about, Hal Puthoff briefed Edward Teller of the Manhattan Project on zero-point energy. You just heard me correctly. Hal Puthoff briefed Edward Teller on zero-point energy.
Oh, that is a really interesting question.
Okay, through some weird circles that you've because I saw photographs of you with all kinds of different people that are just international ready guys.
Well, certainly Edward Teller, that was a very interesting kind of unique. Edward Teller is known to be the father of the H-bomb. And at the time, I was investigating vacuum energy, zero-point energy. It's this kind of underlying cauldron of energy that exists even in space. And so I was told that you want to get a briefing from me. And so, okay, I agreed to do that. So I went out to the next fellow where he was to give him a briefing. And I was told in advance that when you're briefing Ed Teller, he will sometimes kind of drop his eyes, fold his hands, and you'll be sure that he's fallen asleep. But keep going. He's not asleep. He's thinking. So, okay. Sure enough, I swear to God, he looked like he had fallen asleep on me. But anyway, I kept going. Suddenly, he pops up his head and says, okay, so that means you put a couple of plates close together, like a couple of microns apart, you'll get an attractive force between them from the energy in the vacuum, as well as its power, and it'll have a value. He actually worked out in his head as a math genius what it takes me a desk full of books to figure out. And so that was absolutely, it was kind of unbelievable to me that somebody could have such a brilliant mind that he could do that. And so that was certainly a really interesting.
And I love that story.
Yeah, that's a great story, but like, what was his response? We're missing kind of a big part of this story, which is like, okay, so you explained the Casimir effect to Edward Teller. You explained to him the zero-point energy. Was he down with it? What was his response? Was he like, yes, there's zero-point energy everywhere, clearly this is the answer? Yeah, I can't say, right? Like, this again is more evidence that like zero-point energy is the big thing that they're hiding. Hal Puthoff is randomly briefing Edward Teller about zero-point energy, explaining the Casimir effect, the same thing that I've been explaining on every podcast for 9 months straight. Explain the Casimir effect, how this proves zero-point energy is real. Going all the way back to the beginning of the show tonight, Fred Durst was trying to explain this to Bill Maher. And Bill Maher had no idea. Bill Maher was just going, zero-point energy, durr. And Fred Durst was saying, no, it's been experimentally proven. And that is what Hal Puthoff was briefing Edward Teller, father of the H-bomb. So yes, I feel very confident that the answer to the UFO phenomenon is cold fusion is real, anti-gravity or gravity manipulation is real, zero-point energy is real, free energy is real, and they've been hiding this whole aspect of physics from us, even though it's been proven at the quantum mechanical scale. And it turns out it's very easy to hide it. Yes, if you're just now jumping in and you did not watch the beginning of the live stream, we pretty much started out with showing Fred Durst asking Bill Maher about zero-point energy, and Bill Maher having like no idea about it. So let me do a couple last super chats, and then we'll close out. I'll do a last little note. What did we learn today? I feel like we learned a lot.
Shit.
Okay, oh boy, which one are we at? I don't know where we're at. I think we're here. From Swen. Hey, actually, I'm locked in on this, trying to glean what I can about what companies are making what tech. I don't have any hot stock tips. I invested in NXPI, and it's only been a decent growth because they like went super high and then crashed back down to earth. If you had invested in Nvidia when I started this, you would have made like 4 times over profit. If you invested in Palantir when I started this, you would have made like 8 times over profit. There are ways to make profit out there. My best stock advice is look at the companies that the deep state, that the CIA are.
Yo.
OP Jeff, thank you. Are you familiar with the Loren? I'm not familiar at all. Sorry, I'm not familiar. But you can send me content on that.
Oh, yo,
Jeremy's
what's up,
not James Bond,
Pedro?
doesn't even have martini. Yeah, I don't know. These people without martinis and dirty martinis, like who even are they? Gross. Hayes 100, thank you very much. Amazingly, anyone thinks these videos are good. We have 2 MH 370. Yeah, it's crazy that we're watching these like Iraq.
Grinding all day.
Nothing compared to like what we see in this MH 370.
Yo, all day,
That's why I blow
every day. It's the first time I heard your voice.
Oh.
Are you playing right now? There we go. What?
People are thinking that we're looking at video game effects or something. There's nothing like this, man. This is a real military video. People don't want to believe it just because it's too hard to like believe what you see with your eyes here, which I understand. Kevin Miller, cultivated distrust through realistic counterfeits only forces society to mistrust anything they identify. This is exactly what they're trying to accomplish. Thank you, Kevin Miller, is that they're trying to make it so that we can't trust anything that we see. They want you thinking you can't trust anything you see with your eyes. That's the big thing. Because if you don't trust anything you see with your eyes, you won't believe anything that's out there. That's how the misinformation works. And honestly, what's the answer? The answer is understand what stories make sense. Tell me a story that makes sense. Tell me a story that makes sense for the MH370 videos to be fake. Who's the hoaxer? What's the psychological profile of the hoaxer? What's their job? What are they doing? There is no story that makes sense. That's the problem. Nathan from Quantum Show, thank you for the donation, 1111, baby. Kevin Miller, America is an addict, and you're hosting an intervention. Yes, that's very true. I mean, we are addicted to sensationalism, and we need to be addicted to physics and engineering if we want to survive. Deniable plausibility, is it only possible to teleport something flying? This is a great question. I think that this technology we see in the videos I just showed you is limited. I think that they potentially can only use it on something in the air. Because if they try to use it on something in the water, it's going to probably teleport the water as well. Maybe the air is diffuse enough that it doesn't teleport it. That's one of the big things I'm not sure about. Also, just FYI, I'm not 100% convinced of teleportation. I'm like 99% convinced of teleportation. Because I'm under the belief that a black hole must have a white hole. So that anytime you absorb something, it must appear somewhere else. That's my belief of physics. And if that's true, every black hole has a white hole, that means every wormhole has an exit and an entrance.
This guy's trying to cheat death.
It could be annihilation. GTE, huge donation, thank you very much. In the UFO Northern Iraq, you can see the object is moving. There's some kind of background movement. Yeah. It looks like a moving camera as well.
Let's see how we
do.
do.
And it's funny
It was nice knowing you guys. I love you all.
And the debunkers, now I'm remembering, the debunkers claimed that it was camera movement.
Okay.
The reason why it was doing that. In fact, I'm like pretty sure if you go back to my Twitter profile, you will find me posting that video like over a year ago. Pretty sure you're going to find it. If that's the case,
Yeah, I touched them all.
Same. I thought we were toast.
It's obviously not true. So once again, thank you GTE for that donation. Levy, got you. Oh yeah, we already got this donation. Thank you very much for your donation. I appreciate it. Yes, change the permittivity and you change refractive index and you change the speed of light. Deniable plausibility. Could there be a whammy video of the plane return? Yes, there could be. Do we have access? No. Could be though. Rabbit hole Kardashev scale. Yeah, Kardashev scale is going to just be completely obsolete. We're working on a new scale. The Kardashev scale is based on this idea that solar power is the grand source of energy in the universe. But if 0-point energy is the grand source of energy in the universe, Kardashev scale doesn't work anymore. But 0-point energy also explains why we don't see all these megastructures, these Dyson spheres. Why are we not seeing Dyson spheres? The reason why we don't see Dyson spheres is because they don't exist. Because advanced civilizations realize you don't need suns to produce energy. Energy can be pulled from everywhere around you. That's the real logical answer to the question about why we don't see civilizations. RWK Records, thank you for your perseverance and persistence. Thank you, RWK Records, I appreciate it. And oh man, Mark Scott again, bro, chill out with the donations. I appreciate you though. I appreciate you a lot, Mark. Best UFO UAP ever. Yes, crickets and other UFO. Fake groups with lint out of focus nonsense. Thank you, Mark. You've been a baller. I appreciate it. But
I guess that was the last one.
Appreciate you though. Huge donation. Thank you very much.
We could hit.
Okay.
The bear is just automatic death.
So what did we learn? I think we learned that many people.
I think escaping is a faster route
they think it's fantasy
to just get back.
They don't realize it's been experimentally proven for over 70 years. Over 70 years. And people in the UFO community are clearly working with one another. Clearly working with one another. There's no denying that. They're talking to one another behind the scenes. They're corroborating. They're coordinating. And it looks. I'm gonna be honest. It looks really bad right now. Like they're all pushing these stories that are coming out, but they've all ignored the Cybertruck whistleblower at the same time, which looks terrible. And so far, nobody's presented any evidence for any of the stories that they've claimed. So far, they've all claimed, oh, I saw an Infinity Gauntlet. I saw a magic floating orb. Great. Is there any evidence for it? Dates, times, locations, people you were with? Nope, 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 nope. And the new guy is already connected to a guy that was discredited and claimed that he was forced by the U.S. government to execute some blue telepathic aliens. Not looking great. So what I would say is that there's a huge bust potential on the newest revelations. Huge bust potential. Very little upside. But if it turns out I'm wrong and that there is this amazing video of a UFO crash retrieval, then we're going to have a lot to talk about. And just because I don't like people or I think that they're disinfo or whatever else you want to call them, doesn't mean I won't report on their stuff. I have nothing personal against anyone. And I appreciate this comment as well. Even if I don't like somebody, if they say the right thing, if they say something that's truthful, I'll report on it. Even if I think they're a terrible person. And that's how I think we should act as a society. We shouldn't be trying to blackball people who disagree with them or disagree with their politics. And we shouldn't just say, oh, I disagree with that one person, that one thing somebody says, so everything they say is bullshit. That's not how the world works. If we did that, we'd never have any progress. That's what I want to leave you with tonight. That's the lesson I hope you guys learned from this live stream that we had tonight. So I hope you guys appreciated the live stream. On Friday, I think we're going to talk about the Stephen Greer podcast, and maybe there'll be new revelations on his whistleblowers. And there's a couple other things that we may talk about, like this nitinol, which is like some kind of nickel, titanium, or something like that, material made by the Navy. And then there's also this thing called the Ringmasters. The Ringmasters of Saturn, which I vaguely remember, but we're probably going to talk about that as well. Oh, I found another thing. Here's your moment of Zen, chat. So let's do the last donations, and then I'll do our moment of Zen. Mark Scott, after I tell him to stop donating, what he donating? Thank you, Mark. You're a baller, Mark. Appreciate you, brother. And then Denial Plausibility. I watch all your streams. Thank you, man. Thank you, Denial Plausibility. That's really nice of you. So here.
You ever notice that this wizard that's asking for help in the beginning of the fight doesn't actually help us fight? What a lazy fucker.
That old fart. Just taking advantage of the youth.
Bravo. Beautiful. Beautiful information. Beautiful disclosure. Thank God that we have these people disclosing information for us. Where would we be without all of them? Honestly. Thank you, MH370X, ZP Disclosure 2025. Love y'all. Peace out. Let's chat on Friday. Laters, y'all.
I thought he was a magician.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33.
He's gonna be the guy getting a wedgie next time I come through, I'll tell you what.
In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide.
Put that snake where the sun don't shine.
Watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most with precision and speed. They warn of danger, keeping us safe.
Alright, Grandpa, move aside.
Sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Involved in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests far and wide. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a
We're missing. Let's go. Oh man, these guys. Ah, yeah. Shit. Okay, no. We close. It looks like we're good. Come more west, just in case. See if we get in. Hey, Verdit. Welcome, welcome. Verdit. How's the grind? might be all of them. Seems like it. Alright, let's escape. Come on, come on.
Oh my god, oh my god. You guys, I just hit level 20.
I think you've always been level 20. After tutorial, you go to 20. Maybe you've never seen it.
I got ya.
That's a good one. Ahoy. Hey, Borka. What's up? I missed my attack. Great. Hey, Dajer. What's up? What's up? For pyramid, ing verted tank. For anyone, have anyone slots? MGM. Okay. I missed again. Wow.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who's missing like half my shots. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Holy shit, I got smashed.
Wow. That's rough. Rest in peace. Oh man, I'm gonna die too. Dude, these bees are fucking
Oh,
vicious.
man. These bees are tough, man.
We gotta make sure we all hit the same one. Oof. 20 health. GG's.
Nice, that was getting close.
Yep.
Is it laggy or do they stop our progression on the bar?
I'm gonna look at the bar
Yeah,
because
no, it's laggy. There's extra misses. There's a lot going on.
yeah, it's everything. It's all of them.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I pushed the button and it didn't do anything, and I looked over, and then a second later, the speed or the haste kicks in, and I'm like, would have been nice to know that earlier why the button wasn't working.
Yeah. I feel like there's the delay at the beginning, and then there's a bunch of misses.
Yes.
And then the hastes come at the right time, just to make you feel even better. There you go. There's a resist. They resisted. They missed it.
Go on.
In the first white paper, there was a section that says how the resource nodes, the public resource nodes, and there's going to be like a global timer. So it switches up the node locations. Like after every 30 minutes, the location of like let's say a tree that you're getting a particular wood from, it would just disappear and then pop up somewhere else. I actually like that idea, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, seems nice. Also, it's kind of like an anti-bot measure as well.
Yep.
And plus, it makes the resources on land much more valuable, right? Because you know where to go to find it.
Exactly.
Instead of like wandering around.
And it's continuous, right? So, but there are limited spaces on each gathering station. So, if you upgrade it with Quanta, I guess you're gonna have you can increase the amount of people who could stand around in a circle, and just start. Because in the last playtest there was only 3, so it was like a triangle on your circle, and there would have been up to 3 people who could just start, mining away and harvesting resources. And then in one of the graphics, there's like a bigger circle with more seats at the table, just to stand around. So it's going to be interesting where not every gathering station is going to be able to accommodate like all the people who need resources if there's a limited amount of gathering stations even there. So that's going to be another factor. If it's the same way, going into the
Yeah,
game.
that's nice. Yeah.
And then I think about people farming the gathering stations, like camping out. I bet you there's probably going to be a max cap that you could. Maybe I'm just like speculating here, but it would suck if not everyone is able to use a gathering station because there's just people farming it 24/7. Like a bot could just set up
Yeah.
and just stay there with a macro and just tap away. So maybe there's a limit for per person. So then there's always, but then that I don't know. That's where I kind of get lost with maybe how they're gonna go about it. What other options there could be?
That's like a very important thing to get right.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that was all of them, right? Yeah. And escape. Click, click. Clickety click.
Is it stuck?
Do you see the pop up?
No.
Let's see. Oh.
No, I see it. Nice.
suing Blake Lively and her husband. All right, guys, happy Thursday. Definitely a big Thursday because Justin Baldoni is now personally suing Blake Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds. Obviously, originally he was suing New York Times. Now he's going after them. And to that, my friends, I say, let's go because hashtag him too. And today I'm going to give her some friendly advice. Plus, remember we warned you about a potential land grab in California? Well, people are trying to encourage others to sell their uninsured properties quickly, and it just stinks to the high heavens. We're going to discuss that. Plus, Tucker Carlson is going viral for what appears to be a murder mystery involving OpenAI's founder, Sam Altman. A lot to say about that. All that coming up on Candace. Listen to me, Blake Lively. Tap out. Call Uncle right now. Please take my advice. I am like octagon side UFC fight. You're like, oh my gosh, is this guy's neck gonna get snapped? Please just tap out. Be done with this. Ref, please call Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds out. Just call this out because I'm telling you they are not going to win this. And by the way, I'm gonna be honest. I love this. You know, I genuinely love when a hashtag him too situation happens because you forgot when the Me Too movement broke out. What was that back in 2015? I might have been the only woman in the world who went around doing events wearing a hashtag him too shirt. This was not a very popular stance to have. There's somebody else I was working with where I believe facts. Obviously, you should believe facts and not believe women or believe men. And people were angry at me because so many women were just sharing stories on Twitter and like obviously women never lie. And then I was completely vindicated because the world realized after this very strange period of amnesia that no, women do in fact lie sometimes. Like maybe sometimes a lot women lie, just like men sometimes lie maybe a lot, but the facts never lie. Amber Heard certainly helped to catalyze that global realization. She just could not be content with winning. That's how everything happened for Amber Heard. She was winning, by the way. Don't forget, she spun a story. She was photographed with a black eye. You guys remember the notorious photo of Amber Heard walking out and she had a black eye, and then the entire world was on her side and instantly hated Johnny Depp because she was married to him. And obviously they just made the assumption that Johnny Depp blackened her eye. And then she was invited to all these red carpet events. She became sort of the face of the Me Too movement. Money was pouring in for her, and she couldn't stop. She was just high on her own supply. She's like, no, how else can I get attention for this? And then she made a fatal error. You know what the error was? Amber Heard wrote a piece published in the Washington Post. I can show you this Washington Post headline. This was at the beginning of the end. It was an opinion piece written by her. And she wrote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. And she very heavily implied it was very obvious that Johnny Depp had done these things to her, which then gave Johnny Depp the window to sue her for defamation over the piece. And ladies and gentlemen, she should have settled that case right there in the moment, said, sorry, mea culpa, I am very, very sorry. And here you are, Johnny Depp. I will pay you. Just agree never speak about it publicly. But I'll tell you something. When women get high on their own supply, sometimes I think it is hard for them to imagine that they might lose. And let me tell you, lose Amber Heard did. Really, I would say more than the $15 million judgment that was given to Johnny. She had to pay him $15 million. She lost her entire reputation. The public will never see Amber Heard in the same vein, right? The actress who in 2016 was named, according to science, they told us, as having the most beautiful face in the world. This is a real headline from Daily Mail. Amber Heard has the most beautiful face in the world, according to science, followed by Kim Kardashian and Kate Moss, who has a perfect forehead. She was just seen as gorgeous. Every man wanted to be with her. And then all of a sudden, we fast forward to this public trial, and we are treated to stories about her having allegedly gone potty, number 2, on Johnny's bed. Okay, don't forget the bodyguard testified. Amber Heard told him that it was simply a practical joke gone wrong. Yeah, the public's not going to be able to unhear that. You know what I mean? The public cannot unhear that she tried to blame going potty number 2 on her teacup Yorkies, and they were like, no, teacup Yorkies go potty number 2. It's a lot smaller. This was Amber Heard, and she talks about it with the bodyguard. It was just you know, that's the sound effect. We all just felt very icky, and it was every piece of that trial, by the way, which was just a bad idea for Amber Heard. Because while we can all acknowledge Amber Heard is indeed gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, okay, she isn't exactly known for being an exceedingly talented actress. There are different types of actresses. Some who are super beautiful and also can really act, like Angelina Jolie would be an example of this. And then there are some who are just supposed to take these roles and be hot. Okay, Amber Heard was the latter, beautiful, but we are not buying her when she's trying to be an amazing actress, and that's what she did on the stand. The facts betrayed her narrative, but she was like, I'm an actress, and I'm just going to sell that he really was the violent person. Like, one time throughout the trial, she had accused, and I'm sorry to talk about this because this was just a weird situation, she accused Johnny of having flown into a rage and beating her after he took MDMA. Okay, MDMA, the love drug. This was a hard sell. Like, I have seen people on MDMA, and it's the exact opposite. I bet you get Putin and Zelensky to hide the hug today and everything. You could, peace settlements could have been a lot earlier for Israel and Hamas. Everybody was doing MDMA, but I guess he had a weird reaction to it, flew into a rage, and now watch her try to sell this, even though, again, like I said, the facts, the text messages betrayed her narrative. Listen to Amber Heard on the stand, in case you forgot.
At one point, Johnny just shoves me, shoves me hard. And I fall back onto this glass table. I catch myself on the table. I don't know how some furniture got knocked around. I'm trying to stand up for myself. I'm trying to stand up, literally. I'm not, at this point, I don't even try to hit back or try to run. I'm in this hotel room trying to do my best to fight mostly the verbal accusations, but also I try to stay on my feet, At some point, Johnny whacks me in the face, and I don't remember feeling
sorry, guys, I was a bit
pain
behind.
or awareness of my nose or anything. I don't remember thinking that.
It didn't even show yellow. I was looking at it while we were walking.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a good job. She also tried to sell that he had abused Kate Moss, I believe, threw her down the stairs, and Kate Moss took the stand and said none of this was true, and he was loving all of his exes took the stand. So for exes to fall apart and then come together and be like, no, Vanessa Paradis, every single person that he dated was married was like, he was a loving, gentle creature who would never do any of these things. It was bad. It was very, very bad. And like I said, then we saw the real Amber Heard in the text messages because she was like basically saying, I hit you, and what are you gonna do, you big baby? You're gonna tell that I did it, blah, blah, blah. It was crazy. I particularly love this clip also of her. I would just say ultimately a bad performance on the stand. Take a listen. Slapped me across the face. And I laughed. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. I thought, this must be a joke. So it's wound up being an unmitigated disaster, okay? And I am showing you this because this is exactly what will happen, mark my words, to Blake Lively if she is put on the stand, okay? Take us to the bank. Because similarly, while she is undoubtedly very beautiful, she always has been very beautiful, she does not have the acting chops to pull this off, okay? If it was Angelina Jolie, I'd be like, do it, get on the stand, girl, you're gonna sell that. I'm gonna believe it, whatever you say, I'm gonna probably put Leonardo DiCaprio up there, I'm in. Denzel Washington, forget it. He can say anything, and I'm a jury, I'm voting yes, they did that to him. Denzel Washington was abused by Johnny Depp, that's what I'm saying.
Not feeling that way about Blake Lively's acting. You can't do it when you're C-list, you know? C-list acting is not going to pull that off. So anyways, briefly recap, Blake Lively obviously starred alongside Justin Baldoni in the movie. It ends with us. They apparently absolutely hated one another. They had an emergency meeting at some point to deal with their hatred for one another, set some new rules on set. And then throughout the press tour, articles began leaking first about Justin to TMZ, saying that he had inappropriately asked her trainer about her weight because he had a bad back and there was a scene where he had to lift her up. And she was postpartum, so she was very offended by this. Now, Baldoni was a director of the movie, one of the directors on the movie, and he obviously therefore wanted the movie to be a success. And the studio company also therefore wanted it to be a success. And they're seeing these articles leak. And they made a move to hire a crisis management team because they sensed that perhaps somebody in Blake's team, a friend, maybe it was even Taylor Swift, who knows, was leaking this information to the press, which was creating obviously a frenzy, which could have impacted the movie. Now, before that crisis PR firm ever even needed to try to fight publicly, all by ourselves, I'm saying ourselves, I wasn't really part of this, but like the public just began hating Blake Lively because of her general demeanor on the red carpet events, plus a ton of old clips of her began circulating, just being objectively rude to reporters over the years, and people just said, you know what, she's very bratty, unbearable, I don't like her. What likely happened thereafter was Blake assumed that all of these bad articles that were being written about her couldn't have been, what, I'm Blake Lively, I'm amazing, everybody loves me, I'm pretty.
Yeah, I got the same message.
The load times are insane. I didn't think we were off that long.
Because there's just no way. I'm funny, we're amazing. And I believe she
I swear we were playing.
And it turns out that it maybe wasn't, okay? And I'm saying like very strong evidence it was not coming from his team, and the hate for her was completely genuine. And therefore, the crisis PR team that was hired was mocking via emails behind the back. Like, like, what are we even hired for? We didn't have to do anything. Haha, did you put this in the press? I couldn't even thought this up. So with Blake's reputation shattered, she and her team then cooked up an idea to essentially try to change the narrative, right? To file a complaint, not a lawsuit. They filed a complaint to the California Employment Office, accusing Justin Baldoni of all sorts of things, primarily in a couple of words, being a creep, right? Coordinating a smear campaign of her, talking to her about his previous pornography addiction. She accused his friend and also another director on the film of showing her what she first thought was pornography of his wife, and then she realized it wasn't pornography, but still felt it was inappropriate. And she even went so far as to say that he was creepy with an underage character on the set. Very sneaky language. Sneaky language, why? Because underage character, it turned out, actually meant a perfectly of-age actress who was playing an underage character from the book. So the woman was 24 years old. They put that language in there kind of to make people feel horrified. Like, oh my god, not only is he creepy, but it's giving pedo vibes. Like, and nobody then realized that, no, actually, this is wildly manipulative.
Stuck
and
on
no,
zero.
pornographic video was pertaining to a scene that she was doing on set, and he was showing a video of his wife giving birth with his wife's permission because he wanted her to understand how giving birth naturally takes place because perhaps she had no experience, it sounds like. So it was wildly manipulative. And Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times because somehow it got leaked to them. It seems pretty obvious that that might have been somebody on Blake Lively's team. And I'm going to go with, by the way, Blake sitting in a room. Around that time, she was hanging out with Taylor Swift a lot, right? Her and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were walking around like, you know, we got bad blood. Like, you just felt the vibes. The thing about Taylor Swift is she also lives in La La Land. This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen, with being an A-lister, okay? You live in La La Land. You are surrounded by people who tell you you can do nothing wrong. They're just a bunch of yes men, okay? Just yes, yes, whatever you want, whatever you want. And she's probably speaking about this. This is me kind of imagining what happened behind the scenes with Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift always gets back at a guy that does something to her. Taylor Swift, in all of her 97 relationships, never did anything wrong. She puts it in a song, everyone takes her side. That's her version of a lawsuit, of filing a complaint. She puts it in a song, a bunch of teenagers go along with it, and she gets what she wants. People just buy her narrative. And I'm surmising that perhaps she gave some advice to her best friend, Blake Lively, throughout this time. Anyways, Justin Baldoni is not.
I had to disband the party when I relogged in. It had everybody like invisible party members in my lower right screen. It was weird. I don't know if anybody else has the same problem, but just thought I'd share.
On behalf of Baldoni and the producer Jamie Heath, the publicist Jennifer Abel, and the crisis publicist Melissa Nathan.
I've definitely seen that before.
They tried to present it to us in New York Times, like these people tried to sink Blake Lively, and they left out messages which showed that they were just laughing at the fact that they didn't have to do anything because the public already recognized that she wasn't a great person, and so they were kind of high-fiving and laughing, and the New York Times declined for whatever reason to make that clear, probably because of pre-existing relationships. Maybe Taylor Swift people were helping out. I don't know. Again, the point being is,
guys, I'm actually have to drop now since we're here. Maybe it's the most convenient. I might be back online in a couple of hours.
Oh, okay.
Plus negligent interference with perspective economic advantage. Okay.
Good
Now,
playing with
I am
you.
going to show you.
Alright, bro. Talk to you later.
See you around.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the runs. Bye-bye.
Intuition. This man is telling the truth. Here's him on NBC today.
Anyone
is known for
have a
supporting women,
slot?
believing women.
Let's
So why
see
in this case should people
if
not
we're
believe
on
Blake
it.
Lively?
I'm not asking anyone to not believe anyone. I am more than willing to take every single text message that exists out there, lay them out, put them on a website for the world to see, have them see the truth and determine the truth for themselves.
You see, whenever you got someone on one side of a lawsuit who's saying just publish everything and let the public decide, go with that person. He is more than willing to put every single text message in communication. Allegedly, she's telling us he's a creep. He stormed into my dressing room when I was feeding my baby. I was vulnerable. And he's going, wait a second, you once invited us in while you were breast pumping. Whoa, sending us mixed signals. You thought this was totally fine. It's not going to be good for Blake Lively. I'm telling you, the vibes are not vibing here for her, okay? He also gave a killer statement to the press. He said the lawsuit is a legal action based on an overwhelming amount of untampered evidence detailing Blake Lively and her team's duplicitous attempt to destroy Justin Baldoni, his team, and their respective companies by disseminating grossly edited, unsubstantiated, new, and doctored information to the media. It is clear, based on our own all-out willingness to provide all the complete text messages, emails, video footage, and other documentary evidence that was shared between the parties in real time, that this is a battle that she will not win and will certainly regret. Okay? Blake Lively was either severely misled by her team or intentionally and knowingly misrepresented.
Tonight's the last night we can grind stuff out, right? It ends tomorrow.
And livelihoods for heinously selfish reasons through their own dangerous manipulation
Yeah,
of the
but I
media
don't know what
before
time.
even taking any actual legal action. We know the truth, and now the public
Damn,
knows
that
too.
went by
Justin and
fast.
his team have nothing to hide. Documents do not lie. Yeah, that's a kill shot right there. I'm telling you, Blake, please. I know we are not homies. We never be homies. I don't do this like me too.
Yeah, no.
On this stuff,
I think
I am telling
I
you.
thought it was early tomorrow morning, but I could be wrong. I just wanted to pay attention a little bit just so I could, sacrifice everything before it's gone.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing. Hopefully.
So I'm down to grind till whenever tonight. If you guys want to keep going or whatever, I'm good to go. So let me know, or if you need to switch me out, whatever. I'm good with that too.
Yeah, I'm down to do a long grind. Just checking to find that announcement.
I still only have the crown and the horns. Is it hard to get the other two, the armor and the staff?
No, you can get them from any of the mini bosses, but you only need one because you get the same mana for whatever piece you have. So you should be set.
Oh, so it's just like purely cosmetic for the last 24 hours of the game.
Yeah, it's looking like that. Someone got 17 of the essence from the witch. They took a screenshot. That's a lot. I think that's the highest.
Yeah, that's a lot. 7 was my highest with you guys.
Yeah. Damn, somebody bought a shit ton of land. Okay, they swept the floor. Bunch of wizards.
Yeah, I don't know, $100 lands, that seemed like a steal to me. I wish I had some cash, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Abstract partnership or partnering with Forgotten Runes, Runiverse Game, and Arcane Foundation on XP. Okay, that's pretty cool. But maybe it's a troll.
On the XP network, or what's on XP?
XP is the token for the Forgotten Runes ecosystem. So that's basically like.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's also a company that's called the XP Network that helps people transition their tokens from one blockchain to all the blockchains. It's pretty cool. I was working with them for a little bit. They're over in Israel, but at the time they were getting blown up by Gaza, so it was hard to stay in contact with them. But yeah, they were doing some cool stuff with like people who wanted to have their token on both Ethereum, Polygon, whatever chain. They kind of bridged them all together and were able to transfer the tokens from one chain to the other pretty seamlessly without any fees or anything. And their model was just on a very low gas fee to bridge this stuff model. So it was kind of a nice thing that they were doing because they weren't charging the NFT project I was working with any money to do it, and seemed like really smart guys. They knew their shit, so it was kind of cool to see that people were like, yeah, this multi-chain shit and bridging stuff is getting kind of stupid. We just need an overarching problem to solve that. And they had decided to tackle it with NFTs, and I'm sure crypto in some way.
Well, yeah. Interesting, man. It's crazy how like that issue.
But anyway, yeah, right. Back to the XP thing.
Yeah. The bridging, the interoperability, and just simple, safe, transferring network to network. It's kind of.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I have like way too many wallets, and just being in a Axie guild manager, I had to open up a bunch of wallets and kind of manage them for them. So having the experience of doing it over and over and over and over and over again is one, enlightening. I mean, it taught me a lot about blockchains and wallets and how they work down to the minutest detail. But it also taught me that we've got way too much of this shit. I mean, it's really all doing the same thing, and it's transferring a little bit of value from one person to another person, or from one person's item to another person's item. You know, it's not hugely complicated, but we've made it so complicated in that there's different chains who are always vying for, and it's because there's dollars behind it, obviously, vying for chunks of this pie that they see, and they're all trying to split it up rather than trying to, universalize it.
Right. For sure. So wait, I had an Axie guild as well, or scholarship program, at the time. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. We chatted about that when I first joined Rome. You and I were mentioning
that's right.
Axie and Champions Ascension and all the stuff, projects we'd worked
right.
on, and all the different rug pulls that we'd experienced and stuff. It was like, I was like, oh, he's blood, man. He's been on the field of NFTs, like
battle scars. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh, you're still playing with us? Let me re-invite you. Sphinx and who else is on? Nero's on. Oh yeah. Let me see if Nero wants to jump in. Nero, is he in party up too? Let's see. Let me just tag him.
Yeah, he said he was having mic problems, so he might not be on the chat. But he was around a little bit ago.
Yeah, jump in. High grind is good. See if he responds. I'll add this guy.
Doesn't say I'm on the team because it still says I'm solo.
Alright, give me a second. Hey, Llama.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see you
Llama.
there.
Invite. Okay, that's your in-game name. Sakamoto. Got you right now. And we're waiting on another. We're waiting on another person. But we can definitely run some before he gets back. Might take a while. Sakamoto. Bam. Got you. And
You disbanded the party, right?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sending
Just making
invites
sure.
again. Sakamoto. Or what's going on? I guess I should refresh because I don't see your names popping up. I'm gonna log out, log in real quick. Yo, low, low, low. Oops. What's the time for the cutoff tomorrow? I forgot all about that. It says January 14th to 17th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. So you got yeah, you know, 5 p.m. That's kind of like a half a day, depending on when you wake up and start playing.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I have a little bit of grind time tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna wake up early, or I'm up early anyways, but I just didn't get on as early as I could have because some other stuff that I could have postponed. But I'm gonna jump on right when I wake up after the morning routine. So I'll tag everyone. See who's damn.
Sounds good. I'll be around. Yeah, I was up way too late last night, so I slept in too. I think I drank half a case of Mountain Dew before bed, which is never a good idea.
What the? Yeah, that's kind of. That'll keep you up. Alright, I'm inviting you guys now. Keep and Lamau. Got it. Alright, looking good. What spells and armor are you rocking? Usually, or what we recommend you switch to is the samurai and all of the fire. The fire set of spells. Let me know if you need a visual. I could send you or tag you a photo. What they look like. Yeah, all good? Okay. Cool. Invite me, DPS here. Okay. Let me see, I could tell him to. Oh yeah, she jumped in. Perfect. I like how they switched it up and they increased the rewards like halfway through the playtest. So whoever was just like, man, this ain't worth the grind, they just probably stopped playing and called it a day. And now you have the last half a quarter mile where you can just really grind and get that extra mana accumulation.
Yeah, these guys are pros at it. I do like that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're farming the timeless shards, the blue ones, and the west side. So we're gonna just kill all the mobs and then escape and repeat. Yeah, cool. Yo, what's up, Dodger? Again, are you here for the secrets? You're here for the alpha to take it back to your own guild, and you just rock Rome GG because you're just here so we can trust you? Is that how it is? I see how it is. We haven't even played together. You haven't offered. Unbelievable.
Oh, we're supposed to share secrets? Okay, my left nut is bigger than my right nut.
Yeah. Oh man. That was kind of a. I alley-ooped. I set it up for a perfect. That was a perfect setup.
Oh, you meant game secrets. Oh, all right.
Yeah, should have been more specific. Sorry. You could always reveal your social security number too, randomly, as a secret. We take those. Or your seed phrase.
Yeah, where's the channel to post my seed phrase again?
Oh, right this way, sir. VIP treatment. Oh my god. Oh, another thing we do is a clockwise. So we target the closest enemy to us to start, and then we rotate clockwise. So going north, then east, and then south. So we could just knock them down. Keep it moving.
Whenever possible. Obviously, that default kind of throws off some spells sometimes. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna get crucified if something accidentally hits the wrong row.
No, for sure. No crucifixions here. But it's funny to sometimes see like fireballs like crossing over each other in every which way, and it's just like, okay, what's the... It's like a fireball bonanza. Look at that. No soup for you. Wrong fireball.
Or when they land, confused and the fireball goes behind you.
Yo, and it hits your ally. Yes, that happened to me, and I've witnessed it many times.
Yeah.
Start fireballing each other. It's like a spitball.
I've tried to pay attention to that, and not cast the attack all spell when that happens, because I've done it a couple times, and I'm like, oh shit, that's how we lose all our life.
It's like they're not as strong after all. It's just us killing each other. Friendly fire is on. Okay, I got knocked back. Gotta stay together, fam. Oh.
Going to win this. You're not going to just like I just feel it. I feel the energy that is telling me that you and your husband were a little too high up on your horse. Okay, high up on your horse. That just feeling the A-list vibe, seeing that there's nothing that can possibly take you down. It happens. People get deluded. You had a perfect childhood. Everything handed to you. You grew up wealthy. I get it. I get it. There's no one in the room telling you what I'm going to tell you. You are going to lose this and much more. By the way, there's no way to contain this. This is also going to impact your husband's career, which is a lot stronger than your career. Okay, so unless you've got some smoking gun and he's really just this bold and Brian Friedman is really just this much of a liar, and you're willing to get on that stand and show that no, you were really sexually harassed on this set, which I'm gonna guess when he says videos, yeah, there were a lot of cameras there too. So she made a lot of allegations about what happened. You gotta cut a lot of that stuff, and they probably still have all the things that they cut. My best guess is Justin Baldoni is telling the truth. Brian Friedman is telling the truth. And girlfriend, I'm telling you, wrap this up, settle this tomorrow. Tomorrow, settle it, okay? I got you. No worries. Take a quick blow to your career. We'll laugh at you, they'll mock at you, but they'll never remember you for pooping on a bed, okay? And that's what's really important here. All right, guys, I want to remind you about Goldco. It's officially 2025, and we could be in for a seriously bumpy ride. Obviously, we're happy that we have a new president on the way, but there is bad news that just keeps piling up. The stock market volatility is bad. Credit card defaults are soaring. Global conflicts aren't going anywhere. And national debt is bursting at the seams. You know the saying, hope for the best, but plan for the worst? That's what I'm doing. That's exactly why I partner with the top precious metals company, which is Goldco. I've personally done business with them, and they are the best. Right now, my viewers will get a free copy of their 2025 gold and silver kit. And you could also qualify for up to $15,000 in bonus silver, possibly even more. Gold and silver have been used as a store of value for centuries and as a hedge against market risk and inflation. So to learn more, you just head to CandiceLikesGold.com. Again, that is CandiceLikesGold.com. Okay, got a story for you guys. I'm sure you maybe saw this on X, but Tucker Carlson is trending over an interview that he gave yesterday. And I just want to back this up and get into a little bit of history, just regarding chief medical examiners in general. Before we get to the crux of the story, let's just talk about chief medical examiners in general. Which probably you didn't realize, like, when did America start establishing the need to have a chief medical examiner? Okay, so there was this guy many moons ago, really in the early 20th century. His name was Dr. Charles Norris of New York City. I'm showing you a picture of him right here. He was the first ever, the first ever chief medical examiner in the United States. Again, he was married, which is relevant to immigrants from Austria, and he worked alongside Alexander Oscar Gettler. There's a picture of Alexander Gettler, who was the first toxicologist, forensic toxicologist, between 1918 and 1959. Okay, he was the first forensic chemist to be employed in capacity by a U.S. city. So that's where New York. And I want to tell you that because there's a lot of history that we should unpack about New York and the flood of immigrants that came in there. And you should know that to establish an office like that actually gave that office a tremendous amount of power because suddenly they established that they were experts. Okay, and of course you just should immediately trust the experts, even if you're not really sure about the facts and what they're telling you. I'll give you an example regarding these two men. In December of 1926, there was this guy named Frank Travia. He was caught literally carrying parts of a woman who was chopped up. Her name was Anna Frederickson. He was carrying her body chopped up, or parts of her body chopped up, to the Brooklyn waterfront in New York City. And detectives were able to find him, and they found the remains of Anna's dismembered body in his apartment. So obviously they charged him with murder. Travia then claimed that he and the victim had fallen asleep after drinking some whiskey in his apartment, and that after waking up, he found her dead on the floor. Okay, that was his story. In come Dr. Norris and Dr. Gettler, and they concluded, no, this victim died of carbon monoxide. Somehow he survived it. They fell asleep together on the floor, but like he survived. She died of carbon monoxide poisoning, and so she wasn't killed by Travia. Okay. The police department obviously did not believe this. They ignored these conclusions and they charged Travia with murder. But at the trial in March, now with the jury, the forensic analysis of chemist Gettler proved that no, actually it was carbon monoxide from Travia's stove, and she was poisoned to death. So ignore the body that's chopped up in the bag being thrown in the Brooklyn River. Okay. Travia is innocent. He was acquitted of murder. This is a real article that I'm showing you. He actually got acquitted for murder because of this brand new office that had been established. Wacky. Okay. You look into the history of these things, and they were even able to talk about just like impacting business in the United States. Standard Oil. They got like an entire Standard Oil factory shut down because they were saying, oh, there's poison in the air. We're the experts, so you can't dispute that. We're the chemists. There's poison in the air. Okay. So anyways, going into that story, which, like I said, a flood of immigrants, particularly relevant, the assassination of the Tsar in Russia, I don't know if it was 1880 or 1881, and then a ton of immigrants came into New York City, and these people were, as they were in Russia, a lot of them they weren't sending their best, okay? I'll say they were not sending their best. They were thugs, okay? They were definitively commies, and they were here to overthrow and to establish a new order. So Standard Oil, by the way, gets attacked several different ways by these immigrants, which I'll have to get into at a later point, and obviously I don't want to get into trouble, so I'm not going to say what kinds of immigrants like Dr. Gettler flooded into this new field of science. In fact, I'm gonna let Kanye West not say that.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
No, Kanye, no! Oh my God, no. Okay, I can't. I am very deeply disappointed in Kanye for saying that. He specifically was not going to say that. Anyways, all of this to say that the origin story of medical examiners and forensics in America is riddled with organized crime and communism. Okay, I am telling you that. I have done a deep dive on that, and we will dive deeper into that when I launch my own platform because I will get double demonetized for knowing history. So that's what the platform we're building is for, and we're so close to launching that this month. So we'll wait for then. But I'm telling you this because we have seen this corruption regarding chief medical examiner's office in modern times. If you're listening to this podcast, if you've read that book Chaos that I keep recommending that you read, it goes into California, the corruption of these medical offices, and you're realizing you were completely lied to about something as big as the Manston murders. Crazy. In the Kamala Chronicles, even remember we interviewed that Japanese journalist Yoichi Shimatsu, and he was convinced, similarly California, that someone that he had mentored, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, he said he was murdered, and they said that it was a suicide because he stood up to the political mafia in San Francisco, of which he was saying was being run by Willie Brown and had ties to the cartels and George Soros. And don't even get me started on everything we learned about the corruption of these offices during COVID. You really have to go back in history and to understand that these offices were not established, in my view, out of goodness. They were not established out of goodness. They gave a tremendous amount of power to competing mafias in this country. Anyways, this brings me to Tucker Carlson, who, just to give you a background of who we had on the show, he was speaking about Sam Altman. If you don't know who Sam Altman is, maybe you don't follow the world of AI because you're a woman like me and it's not as interesting as other topics, but Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, okay? Essentially, it's the company which created ChatGPT, this new focus on artificial intelligence, right? Now, the difference between artificial intelligence, which is what ChatGPT is essentially, if you think about it, artificial intelligence that way is just a culmination of a ton of information and trying to get to the source of what that information is, or trying to create like a general information based off of all of the information. Does that make sense? It's almost in that way like a search engine, like an ultimate search engine is what you would describe Grok and ChatGPT. But they can get things wrong, obviously, right? Because a lot of people can be wrong and then they're using all of this wrong information to decide a conclusion. Then there's artificial general intelligence, and that is essentially where they're trying to get to. These people that are all about AI, that's why I'm like, I just gave pause at Elon Musk, the Peter Thiels, the Sam Altmans of the world, because they are pro-artificial general intelligence as well, which would mean something that can think by itself. It's not relying on all of your information and my information. Essentially, it would be like self-thinking, think of robots. Well, Sam Altman is a very dark character in general because he, among with others, lobbied the California state. They were trying to pass a piece of legislation that would require these companies to build a kill switch into AI. So essentially, maybe that robot's getting a little too smart, AI technology getting a little too smart, we can remotely kill that. And for whatever reason, they did not want that to be a thing. And they made all sorts of arguments of why that shouldn't happen. It would get in the way of freedom. I don't know, but I like the idea of a kill switch for a robot as much as the next guy, okay? Enter in a young man whose name was Suchir Balaji. This is a picture of him. He was just 26 years old. He was, according to his mother, incredibly brilliant, and he was a former engineer under Sam Altman. He was working to train the artificial intelligence systems that were behind ChatGPT. But later, he started believing that those practices violated copyright law, and then he was found dead just days before he was meant to be called to be a witness in a case, okay? He was found dead in his San Francisco apartment on November 26th, and what police said appeared to be a suicide. They said there was no evidence of foul play that was found during the initial investigation. Now, I can't show you the photos on YouTube without getting hit. You should go onto X and look at the photos of what they tried to allege was simply a suicide. Photos from the apartment, okay? It doesn't look like a suicide to me. So his family's calling for the death to be reinvestigated, and his mother, Purnima Ramarao, joined Tucker Carlson to discuss this. And listen to what she had to say about the chief medical examiner's office that ruled her son's death a suicide.
Did the officers at the scene give you any indication of how they thought your son died?
At 4 o'clock, they came to the leasing office, and the medical examiner said he shot himself, he killed himself, it's a suicide. At that moment, I raised to them, look, my son went into the New York Times, he's a whistleblower, and his death doesn't look suicide to me. They just didn't want to listen. He bought a gun, it belongs to him. Nobody went into the complex, nobody came out, he was all by himself. And it's a suicide. And how long it took, can you believe it? 40 minutes to investigate. 14 minutes to determine the date, cause of death. And at 4 o'clock, they gave me the keys for the apartment, and they say you can collect the body tomorrow. Like, right from that moment, I see foul play. Proper formalities were not followed, and the next day they released the body within 24 hours without doing the complete autopsy. They removed the bullet, they did the CT scan, just returned the body to us. Then we just checked with the funeral home and we discussed with them, and then they also said, looks like it doesn't seem normal. There's something very unusual here. You should do a second private autopsy.
The funeral home suggested that.
Yes.
The funeral home saying, yeah, I don't know what you were told, but this does not look like a suicide to us. This kind of reminds me, by the way, we covered it a long time ago, like the Josh Shapiro story. I think he was Attorney General when that young woman, Ellen Greenberg, we're supposed to believe she stabbed herself in the back 20 times. I mean, it's just an incredible story, and her family has been fighting for justice forever. But again, when you look at these stories of these immigrants, they went into these cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and they were running things. They were just running things, and they would tell, intentionally get certain people elected to offices or establishing offices that had never been here in the United States. And like I said, I have gone through that history, but for whatever reason, you're not allowed to talk about it because it's a considered conspiracy. It's not. It's like actual, true history, and it's very clear that there is something dark going on in San Francisco and in other cities like Chicago and Philadelphia, which is why I would never, ever want to live there now. I'm speaking about all of these issues because I know how it goes. Okay, something happens to me, and there's tons of evidence that, to the contrary, without question, they're like, no, she's just a suicide. That's why we just need you guys to know I'm not suicidal. You know what? I'm never going to be suicidal. I'm Catholic. Okay, it's not a thing. But anyways, jumping back into the story, she then spoke to Tucker Carlson even about the bullet angle for his alleged suicide. Take a listen.
Your son's body was taken away. It was evaluated in some way by the authorities. They say this is a suicide. You have like a real autopsy done by Professor Rao, and he says, what about the bullet angle? Will you explain that?
The autopsy was done by Dr. Joseph Cohen, and he says two things. One of them is the bullet angle is going downward, about 30 to 45 degrees downward. It's being shot here. It's missed the brain. Second thing is it's a head injury on the left side of the head. In fact, I spoke to medical examiner's office, executive director. I told him there's a head injury. There's sign of struggle in the bathroom. He just declared that I'm the decision-making authority of state of California. I decide the cause of death. And when I brought up we'll have federal investigation, there was a momentary setback in his voice on the phone, but still they're holding on to suicide.
So Dr. Cohen's autopsy, and this is grisly, I'm sorry, but demonstrates, proves that the bullet was fired at what angle?
Yeah, it's downward angle. That someone cannot shoot themselves.
Right, so in other words, if this were a suicide, your son would have had to have held the gun to his forehead coming
from
down.
the top. He was made to sit. If you look at the same thing, like the victim was sitting down. He was made to sit, someone standing, he shot him down.
Absolutely insane, terrifying to think that this can happen, that this is happening in broad daylight, and that, of course, people that should be covering this stuff and calling for all this corruption are all being controlled. And we learned this even in the Diddy lawsuits. I very much suggest it's very clear something's going on in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and then they just start calling you names. When you go, hey guys, how many people can keep telling you that you have people that are working in the police department, people that are working in the chief medical's office, people that have been making these claims since the 60s? You read that book, that's, I mean, by the way, earlier for sure, but I mean, starting with chaos and recognizing this, before we say, who are these people working for? Who are these chief medical examiners in these major cities that are employed by a lot of corrupt people? And Silicon Valley would be very important. It would be very important to secure those positions, to secure that chief medical examiner officer's position. Who are these people working for is the question. And apparently we're not allowed to try to answer that, but we're talking about it today. Anyways, we will keep an eye on this case. The chief medical officer pretty much confirmed that the manner of death was a suicide. The congressman is now backing calls for an FBI investigation into the death. So not that the FBI is any less corrupt, but we will see what happens there. And I can't imagine going through that and burying your child and seeing this corruption up close. Sam Altman, by the way, creepy guy. Just his face is just extraordinarily creepy. His sister, by the way, is now suing him, I believe, for sexual assault. Let me back check that real quick before him and his billions come after me. Sam Altman's sister. Give me 1 second, guys. An FBI investigation into the death. So not that the FBI is any less corrupt, but we will see what happens there. And I can't imagine going through that and burying your child and seeing this corruption up close. Sam Altman, by the way, creepy guy. Just his face is just extraordinarily creepy. His sister, by the way, is now suing him, I believe, for sexual assault. Let me back check that real quick before him and his billions come after me. Sam Altman's sister. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure the exact thing. Yeah, he is denying that he raped her. His sister has filed a lawsuit alleging that he regularly sexually abused her between 1997 and 2006. So we'll see what happens with that case as well. Anyways, guys, I wanted to remind you about Beam because if you struggled with sleep last year, there is no better way to start 2025 than with consistent restful nights. That's why I'm excited to talk to you about Beam's Dream Powder. a science-backed healthy nighttime blend for sleep that is clinically shown to improve sleep and have you waking up feeling refreshed. All you need to do is mix Beam into milk or hot water and enjoy before bed. Obviously, Base can cause next day grogginess, but Dream contains a powerful blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and you will wake up feeling refreshed. For the ultimate sleep refresh for the new year, try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, and you'll get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Canis and use code Canis at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Canis and use code Canis and you'll get 40% off. Also, don't forget about American financing. I know there's some people that are struggling with high credit card bills. Well, there's no better time than right now to write out that debt and set yourself up for a strong 2025. Interest rates have fallen, and my friends in American Financing can help you access equity in your home at an interest rate that is in fives. There is a much lower rate than the average 25% credit card rate. So think about how much you could be saving every month. American Financing is saving their customers an average of $800 a month, and that is like a $10,000 raise annually to start the new year. They're closing in as fast as 10 days and even delaying 2 mortgage payments for some. So call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210, or you can visit AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Again, that's AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Okay, Gavin Newsom, not our favorite lizard. I don't like Gavin Newsom because, yeah, vibes, okay? He just seems like a monster. He's obviously corrupt. He's in California where everything is corrupt. You know, I just think the mafia's gone mainstream. It's just like the politicians, the music execs, everybody is just, oh gosh, I'm not allowed to say that on YouTube. I don't know why you're not allowed to say that at all. I don't know, it's crazy. But I don't like anything that happens in California, the people that are in power of California. But I will say that Gavin Newsom got something right, okay? So last week, and not with the fires, obviously it's all been mismanaged, it's a disaster, but last week we expressed concern over the potential that with these fires, there was obviously going to be a major land grab, right? BlackRock was going to come in, buy everything at a fraction of what it's actually worth, because that just seems to be standard operating procedure after a disaster. Find people that are absolutely desperate, have nowhere to go, and say, well, I know your property's worth this, how about I just give you like 10% of that, and you go somewhere because you need the cash now, you know? People who lose all of their homes and they cannot get money from their insurers from one reason or another, and then along will come a company that says they'll write you a check, you will do that. You will accept that check, okay? So Gavin Newsom issued essentially an executive order, and I'm going to read you his tweet. Here's what it says. It says, today I signed an executive order prohibiting greedy land developers from ripping off LA wildfire victims with unsolicited, keyword unsolicited, undervalued offers to buy their destroyed property. Make no mistake, this is a prosecutable crime, and this is the video that he attached to that tweet.
Here in Altadena, I just signed an executive order with community leaders to deal with the issue that is becoming a bigger and bigger issue every day, and that's land developers that are engaging in predatory efforts to make unsolicited offers for properties at significantly below market value. This predatory behavior is disgusting in the best of times, and of course here in the midst of this tragedy at scale, it's disgraceful. So we're going to hold those folks accountable. I'm very grateful for the leadership here in the community that promoted this approach, and this executive order is a reflection of their direction and their commitment to preserving the unique character of this community for generations to come.
So that's a good thing. That is objectively a good thing. I am not so partisan that I will say, well, you're Gavin Newsom, so I'm just going to pretend that's bad. That's exactly what we're worried about. And again, we don't want these guys, these Wall Street guys coming in and sweeping up all the land, because that, to me, just leads me to conspiracy theories about who's behind all of this, okay? And I don't want to have to be a conspiracy theorist full time, just kidding, yes I do. But anyways, for whatever reason, some conservatives took issue with this, and I was quite stunned to see the tweets that were coming out about this. So here's Ben Shapiro, who tweeted this. Homeowner, oh no, my house burned down. Developer, hey, I'll offer you $2 million for your torched piece of land that won't be livable for 4 years. Newsom, stop that right now, you greedy land developer, with your unsolicited offer to pay this fire victim money. Like, that is like not at all what is happening. Like, that is not what he said. That is not what he is doing. Why are you taking the position of greedy land developers and trying to pretend they're being helpful? Okay, what he's saying is undervalued. And we know what this is. It's like people going to a pawn shop out of desperation. They have something that's actually worth a lot of money, and they're going to get a small percentage of it because they need the cash now. That is what he's trying to prevent. And you're selling it as if they're heroic. These landowners are going to come in and he's going to prevent them from doing that. It's like, it comes across as so team BlackRock, you know what I mean? And he wasn't the only one. He made it seem as though what he was doing, what Gavin Newsom was doing was dirty. Ted Cruz, or like very much, I like Ted Cruz, but he writes misguided CA policies. Okay, I agree with the first part of this. Limited fire mitigation efforts, reduced water shortages, and underfunded firefighters. All agree with all that. And the bottom says, now young politicians are making it harder for those devastated by the wildfires to sell their destroyed property.
I think that was
the last. Victims. Okay.
No, we have
one you know what I think we should do? Rather than leaning on BlackRock to scoop up land that's undervalued, why don't we cut them some of the billions of dollars we'll equal the sense, like Ted Cruz in Congress, Ben Shapiro is pro sending billions of dollars to Israel. Why don't we maybe keep some of that money home? Let's take a 1 year break from sending money from Israel to Israel and Ukraine. That's just 1 year. That's it, okay? 1 year. And instead, just write the checks and give them so that they can temporarily live, okay? So they can pay their rent, they can buy a property, whatever it is. Give it to actual Americans. I know, crazy. We don't do that. What do you mean? They get $700 and BlackRock takes their property at 10%. That's fair. No, that's not fair. That is not fair at all. So if you're concerned about them not having cash that is immediately available, I suggest we do what we always do every time our little welfare recipients like Zelensky and Bibi Netanyahu come out with their hands out. We just cut them a check. Cut them a check. It can just come from whatever that pile of money is, a never-ending pile of money that seems to be sitting for 4 nations. It is such crap. I mean, I was literally just like, what are we even talking about? Could you imagine you buy a home and you're like, okay, my home is worth $1 million. I bought it, it was only worth $200,000, and it burns to the ground. You've got no insurance, and some greedy little goblin comes over and is like, well, you really need the money now. How about I cut you $250K for that? Like, for the you need cash. You need cash. This is what conservatives are promoting. No. And to clarify, by the way, what he is actually proposing, when you take a look at the executive order, he is saying for 3 months they cannot solicit, meaning they can't call these people and say, hey, I'm with BlackRock. How about that $250K? If they want to reach out to those land developers, they're more than welcome to. If they're desperate and they want to reach out to land developers, they are welcome to do that. He's not stopping that from taking place. He's stopping greedy people who are ambulance chasers and take advantage of people in a crisis for 3 months. Okay,
oh,
and then
like
beyond that, he's not allowing deals to go through that undervalue their properties.
What's happening here?
That makes perfect sense. Okay, you're gonna come, you're gonna say that you're gonna develop this land, whatever it is. It's gotta be at the actual value so people can make that money back.
Did the guy leave?
I can't. I can't with the way that this world is going right now. So we are like so way over time. I do want to also.
Don's still here. I was standing right next to you. It just didn't load me into the battle. I don't know why.
That he's naming Mel Gibson and John Voight as special ambassadors.
Yeah, Llama is
still
here too.
It is so much. First of all, I love it because Mel Gibson in there, and Hollywood effectively chased Mel Gibson out, and now he's going to be the ambassador, the special ambassador to Hollywood. And his, I don't know how to say, his Truth Social reads, "It is my honor to announce John Voight, Mel Gibson, and Sylvester Stallone to be special ambassadors to a great but very troubled place, Hollywood, California. They will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the last 4 years, to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These 3 very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will again be like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood." Yeah, I don't know, I just love the idea of having special ambassadors to Hollywood, particularly when they are ambassadors like Mel Gibson, who is absolutely loathed by those in power in Hollywood. So that's just a fun little announcement to wrap this up. Okay, now I'm going to read all your comments. I feel like I've been ranting this entire episode. I'm having so much fun today. I don't want to end it. Before we do, I'm going to remind you about 7 Weeks Coffee, because you already are drinking coffee, so you might as well do good while you're drinking coffee, okay? 7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement, 1 cup of coffee at a time. So if you're wondering why they're called 7 weeks, because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. They donate 10% of every single sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country, and thus far they've raised over $750,000 for these centers. That's saved thousands of lives. Now let me tell you about coffee because I'm very picky about what I drink. Their coffee is mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, and low acid. It's organically farmed. It truly checks all the boxes. And because the coffee tastes better with a free gift, you can subscribe now and get a free engraved coffee spoon. Look at that spoon. It's beautiful. It's engraved into yours. Exclusively for my listeners, you go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace for up to 25% off when you subscribe. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 1,000 organizations across the U.S. That's 7weekscoffee.com, and you can use code Candace. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. By the way, I have a very sad announcement. We have no show tomorrow. We have no show tomorrow. You're asking why? It's because I need to take a day off because crazy developments are happening in the Emmanuel Macron thing. You probably sensed that things were crazy already because the sitting president sent me a legal letter. By the way, some of you were asking, Kenneth, when is that legal letter going to be up on locals? We actually only sent it officially this morning. My lawyer wanted to send another lawyer. Doesn't matter. Chris is editing the names of the lawyers off of it, and after the show, it will be uploaded onto locals. So you can go to candace.locals.com and you can read the entirety of the letter that we sent back to these people. And even more has transpired since. There's just a lot happening with France right now, and I need to just really focus on all the information I have received. And still all in everything that I'm saying. It is so much like Americans. Your mind is going to be blown. English-speaking world, okay? People that don't speak French, your mind is just going to be blown. If you got the Kamala Chronicles,
Someone was gray, I think.
Yeah, I saw someone gray.
Take a deep breath and probably have to pause and take more deep breaths and go, this can't be real. Like,
where is everyone on the map? I know
all,
there's three of us together.
The government is so much darker and more insane. Like for my true crime mamas, we're like it's like a true crime essentially. Brigitte Macron, Emmanuel Macron, your mind will be blown. And so I need to buckle down and get some edits done. So tomorrow we are going to be off. I'm sorry that I can't do anything on Friday. That's why we're making today a little extra long. I'm supposed to read your comments. All I'm doing is commenting. This is crazy. Let's get to your comments right now. What am I doing? I'm just off on a tangent. I'm off on a Brigitte Macron tangent. Okay, what do you guys have for me? First and foremost, we have regarding Blake Lively. Judith said Blake wanted to be relevant as an actress because she's Morgan, so she did everything in her power to hijack movies to be the superstar that she wanted to be alongside her husband. Yeah, I really think that this stuff goes to your head. Once you become A-list, you just like you start to believe you're untouchable. It's so important to have people in your life that will tell you no.
Llama
you just need people that will
is
say,
not attacking.
No, that's a very bad idea. It's Archie writes, man, don't say Blake, let her crumble. It's time there be a precedent set that women can't just lie about men and suffer no consequences for it. In the long run, it's not good for men or women.
Yeah, it doesn't show me in the battle.
I have 2 sons and 1 wife, so I have 3 sons, okay? And even before I was married,
I think it's just like an overall.
And what bothers me is they always take the same angle. Like the guy is an abusive creep. You know, he's an abusive creep. It's pornography. And suddenly it's just you're putting slush on this person's character and making it sound like just like a nasty. Ooh, you know how guys.
Yeah, I put a screenshot in the chat.
And so yeah, selfishly, I would love to see her at this dance. But I also I'm trying to be a girl right now, a girl, and tell her not to do that. Nicole writes, this would have hurt Justin's career if not for the internet. Yeah, because we're all detectives now, girl. We're all detectives now. Carrie writes, I got mommy intuition too, girl, and I get good vibes from the Baldoni's lawyer also. Yeah, just telling the truth. Brian Friedman is telling the truth. I sense it. Purple Tiger writes, I need a version of Candace singing Bad Blood.
90 blue.
Bad blood. It's really not a great song, to be honest. And it was so petty that she did that. All the feminists asked feminists to do to march hot girls against who was Harry. Not good. Not good. Regarding the Sam Altman story, Isabella writes, I live in a small town, New Mexico. Can't tell you how many murders have happened that have been ruled as an accident. Yeah, New Mexico would be a good place to get away with stuff. Magdalene writes, I'm so glad you are talking about this case. Thank you, Candace. Yes, it does not look like a suicide. It looks like a Hillary Clinton suicide. A suicided, maybe, potentially. I'm not saying anything at all. You only let Kanye not say things at all. Rhoda writes, I started watching the interview, and how hard would it be to doctor the CCTV after admitting AI is here? Oh my God, don't even get me thinking about AI and all the dark things that can happen. I am just very anti. Gavin Newsom, regarding Gavin Newsom's executive order, Kenga Kong writes, yes, it's a good thing, but Gavin probably wants to land for 15-minute cities. I'm not sure what that means, 15-minute cities. Truth Seeker writes, wow, Ted Cruz, not representing Texans on this one. He usually gets it right, and I totally disagree with Ted Cruz on that one, at least the second half of this tweet. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing, in my opinion. Steve writes, there's no place for the victims of the fires to live, no matter how much money was given, and that's the point, and they should be given a lot more money, but at least they'd be able to rent a home in the interim, you know, be able to think not in a crisis of like, well, you get cash now, you get cash now. It should not happen right now, and our government should be doing much more for them. C3000 writes, that's what developers have been doing to the black community since America's inception. Developers have been doing this all over. They are ambulance chasers. There was no question. Yolanda writes, bring back the golden age to Hollywood. I actually disagree with that, only because Trump should probably read Hollywood Babylon. The golden age was the age of murder and corruption and bootleggers and actresses being killed. I'm sorry to report that to you, Mr. Trump. In the miscellaneous segments, we have miscellaneous comment. Pardon me, of Sarah. She says, Candace, we are so excited for the new platform and your freedom. Everyone cancel your Netflix and support Candace on locals. It's gonna be good. We got Shot in the Dark, we're gonna have the Macron series and all the episodes in which YouTube takes down and says we can't speak about them. We're just gonna run it and you'll be able to watch the show live at CandaceOwens.com. So that's exciting. Brittany writes, you really need to be pregnant every year. You're extra petty and hilarious. I know, and I don't know why. It's just the men. When the little boys are in my belly, I get a little feisty. I know some mamas can relate. You know, with my daughter, I was much more at peace with these little boys. Like, let's go. Elastic Dog Lady writes, so we start the Big Gay Awards. We can offer Blake Lively one, and I'd like to nominate Bono for
I think that's you.
Warzone and Zelensky for his time covering
but
the
you're
Big
still
Gay Awards.
here.
I love it. It would be the Glad Awards.
Let's see if we get into
I like it a lot. Speaking of which, guys, finally we are dropping the Stand Is Fake and Gay merch. So you can actually head to the website and you can buy that. It's at clubcandace.com if you want a fake and gay. Everything is fake and gay Stand Is Cup. You can go to clubcandace.com and get that now. We're doing limited stock drop right now, and then we'll put up more once those sell out. All right. I think that is all that we have for today. This was a super long episode, and I just can't stop talking. I don't really want to go. I just want to keep talking to my friends on the phone, but now I gotta go be a mom again. So I gotta go. I love you guys forever, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I think we might have to refresh.
Okay, I'm stuck on a 25% load screen. I need to reboot or something.
It just loaded for me. We're all 4 in a battle, but let's see if...
Yeah, just loaded,
Yeah, but he's not attacking, so that's how it was last time. Yeah, let's refresh. I'll re-invite everybody. But we could... yeah, we're not...
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say I was stuck.
I'm just gonna refresh my browser.
Yeah, okay, I'll do the same.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Okay. Looks like we're good. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
This is the most consequential conversation on planet Earth. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Glad you made it. Nice to see you. Welcome. Hey, all right. I'm glad you guys said yes. Tonight we're going to talk about what Dota is. We'll take you through a journey that I'm not going to tell you about, but by the end of the night you'll understand why we do this, and you'll understand the importance of the roles you want to play in this conversation.
So at the end of the day, there's no point in living if your quality of life is not there.
I can't fathom what it will be like to be living a couple hundred years from now.
I'll still be here.
Yeah, right. Don't die feels a little negative. Instead, what about let's live feels a little more uplifting.
There is no
time. Evolution has to go through its process.
Can still be here.
Yeah, yeah, right. Going to die feels a little negative. Instead, what about let's live feels a little more uplifting.
There is no political drama or economic situation or social, moral, ethical. Nothing is more important in this conversation. Okay, yes, the way this conversation is going to work, it's a series of 5 thought experiments. Okay, so I'm going to pose a question to you, and then you guys are going to answer the thought experiments. Only 2 rules here. One is that everybody talks, and then number 2 is that try to keep your comments pretty short, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You will hear each other's thoughts, and you'll be able to then modify your own perspectives. Here is the first thought experiment for you. If you had access to an algorithm that could give you the best physical and mental and spiritual health of your life, but in exchange for the access, you did what the algorithm said. You went to bed when it said, you ate when it said, and you exercised in the way that it prescribed. Would you say yes or no to this? And again, there's no correct answer. This is entirely your choice. Would you say yes or no?
I would say yes. I'd go all in because I do that. I've been doing that for different things that I've tried with health.
I think yes is good. Just knowing that if you're in a constant experimental phase, that it either works or it doesn't, and then you take the best from that and kind of move on. Yeah. So yes and yes. So you yes because you think you're already doing. This is like what you're trying to do already.
Yes.
Anthony, this is it aligns with your idea of the world that natural self-improvement. So it makes sense. Like, yeah, and it's an experimental like evolution of it. So.
Yeah, I'd be worried if it was an experiment because then it seems like it's dogmatic instead of like it's just being placed and I just do it blindly. You know, I think if there is that level of curiosity and experimentation within it, I think I'd be more willing to do it, but to allow data to drive my decisions.
Yeah. So you're convinced based upon Anthony's argument. Let me clarify. You don't know what the algorithm does. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. And you also don't know a lot of details of like, will you have access to the data? All you know is, yeah, you say this is the best physical, mental, and spiritual of my life. But outside of that, you don't know any of the details on what actually happens in your life.
Quick question. Are you allowed to try this algorithm and then stop it?
No. It's either in or out.
Oh, okay, well that might change things.
Yeah, so based on that, I would say no.
Okay, you say no, right?
And the reason why is because I think my passion in life, it's like surfing, mountain biking, skiing, being with friends, community. And if that was the sacrifice, if I couldn't engage in a lot of those things because I had to follow this protocol, I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of lifespan because there's a certain way that I'm dedicated to living my life. And I want to live it that way while trying to be the healthiest I can be, but not for the sacrifice of not having the life that I desire to have.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a model of the world of how you want to live and the trade-offs you want to make. And this algorithm creates a potential compromise or threatens your ability to do that. It creates unknowns for you.
My freedom.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm missing all my shots,
no,
bro.
I don't want to be watched
What the
over
hell?
machines of love and grace. I kind of believe in the mysticism of my own life and the mathematical mysticism that who I meet at when is who I'm supposed to meet at those times. And I feel like the algorithm doesn't have that like esoteric knowledge.
So you're worried that the algorithm is not comprehensive enough to include the variables of reality. You understand the world. Yeah. That would create a deficit for lived experience. Yeah.
When I first said yes, I was like, okay, well, that's good because I'm going to have an experiment, but then I can opt out when I want to.
Right.
If it's not working for me.
Right. But it's not. We have to opt in forever.
Yeah, and opting in forever.
This is a forever thing.
Opting in forever feels so final.
It's too late, ladies.
But if I'm going to be the spirit, I'm going to be the most spiritually happy. Maybe I find out that surfing isn't what brings my heart pure joy, but it leads me into something else that I never knew about.
This is why I want to be able to start and stop it.
Yeah. So with that new knowledge, Miranda, you're thinking it's not a clean yes, it's maybe more complicated?
It's a little more complicated because I'd love to be able to have a little fun every now and then.
Leave some room for some spontaneity and just that balance that you touched on, Brett, as well, is just that kind of balancing the health span and lifespan. Yes, like live kind of a perfect life forever, but also enjoying that along the way too, is finding that moderation and that balance. So.
Because maybe there's more moments of joy that come from like things that might not be part of the program.
I had this immediate visceral reaction, which was no, and I think it's I have an issue with authority that has served me well and not well over the course of my life. So just the thought of something telling me what to do, I don't think I could ever opt into that. And I think yeah, when I kind of double click into that, I think there's I think the high highs and the low lows are a part of the human existence, and maybe my algorithm would do that for me already. But there's a sense of like I don't know, just like free will and just choice of like I want to make my own bad decisions that I think ties to my happiness. That it would be hard for me to let go of.
And enjoying that range of having those lows, like you said, let's say that life is on a scale of 1 to 10, and you experience these 1s and 2s. Also, when you experience these 8s and 9s, those 8s and 9s are that much better, and you also feel those 1s and 2s that much more. But if you only live range bound in let's say a 4 to 6, then it might not be as enjoyable or meaningful or purposeful. So
there's also a lot of learning in the mistakes that I've made, and a lot of my growth, personal growth, but also even in the art form that I'm involved in, happening in mistakes. I don't know if I want to live a perfect life. I want to be super healthy though, by the way. I just don't know if I want to live a perfect life.
Yeah.
I'm like a big rule follower, so I love to have like the rules, and then I'm like, okay, but then maybe I'll have a night off tonight. But like maybe knowing who I am, I would really enjoy it and be like, oh, then I'm really super happy doing that, following those rules.
The thing you know from this is you say yes to the algorithm. If you say yes, you say, you guys, this is the best I have ever felt mentally and spiritually and physically. Never felt better.
And emotionally.
Yes. Yeah. That's the only thing you know. Outside of that, you don't know. Are you surfing? Are you doing serendipity? You don't know anything about what you will or won't do.
You don't know if you'll be separated from your family.
You don't know.
See, I can't do that.
For that all to happen, I'd have to be separated from my in-laws for sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right, true peace.
It's a formula, the distance away from physical.
So maybe I would say yes.
Based upon these observations, what do you say? Are you a yes or are you a no?
I'm a no.
I'm a no.
Yeah, I would still hold it indefinite no. Yeah. Miranda wants the yes.
I know, I really
know. And for the sake of being oppositional, I say yes. Like, yeah, I'm going to be the happiest person on planet Earth with spiritual enlightenment, with an algorithm that figures it out for me. Sure. I think I also have this confidence that I'll just be able to do it better than the algorithm, which I know is against the rules, but I think that ties back to my issue with authority. So I'm just sensing my own.
So
it's hard to accept that.
Given that conflict, how do you resolve it in your mind to make a yes or no conclusion?
I think I choose myself over the unknown, and so I'm still a no. Even though you're telling me it should be a yes.
No,
or even though that's ultimately what we're all trying to do. So that's, I think, achieve. Like that is, I think, the crux of so much of human existence. And so, yeah.
There's no middle ground here.
Anthony, did you say what you're
I'm still yes.
Oh, wow.
We have 2 yeses. And Thomas, did you say yes or no?
I'd say yes. I like to think of a parallel. Like we have Google Maps, and so most of us, if we want to get to a destination, we wouldn't pull out a map and figure it out. We just put in the coordinates and we let the map do it. So in a way, our lives are already run by algorithms.
I love using Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't imagine using a physical map.
Even when I know where I'm going, I still put it in.
Even though you know where you're going.
Yes.
Also, there might be an accident that you're unaware of. Like, we were
Yes.
back from Malibu and there's a big accident after surfing. You're like, oh, I should probably, even though I knew how to get home, I probably should have typed it into Google.
Algorithms are amazing. They're amazing. Data's amazing. Yeah.
And so I think that I know that algorithms are better than me, and so I'd rather give, if I'm promised the best physical, mental, and spiritual health in my life, then I would unquestionably say yes, because I know that algorithms can do better than me.
Especially if the algorithm is based upon all your metrics. So if it's like pulling your aura scores, if it's pulling your inside tracker in your blood, and there's no way a human could triangulate all those data points and make their own. It's like you can, but it would take you years with a lot of experts, whereas the algorithm can do this for you in a second. And I think that's
What's happening?
I just see it as a bad movie, though. I see us all saying yes, and then we see what happens with algorithms. Yeah.
So 3 yeses. We have four no's and 1.
90%. 90%.
How did we fall?
Well, what if my family says yes too? If my family says yes, then I'll say yes. Yeah.
All right.
Then we'll be doing it together. That'll be fun. Okay, that's my choice.
Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
3 yeses, 4 no's, and 1.
I'm gonna do it again.
Okay. All right. Thought experiment number 2 is imagine that whatever form of intelligence that exists in the 25th century just watched a video of this conversation. Okay, that's a few hundred years into the future, and they're listening to your opinions, and they're assessing your characteristics of intelligence and your morals and your ethics and your values, how you understand the world, how you frame reality. What observations do they make? What do they say about you and your responses?
She's a family-oriented lady. Who loves health. Sorry, again.
And it's a technology. It's not like a conscious being that's observing.
Yeah, just make your best guess. Like if we say, if we just imagine society is progressing right now with pretty fast-paced change, but a pace of change that is mostly unfathomable for our current mind. It's like looking back at the 1600s to now and how much change has happened then, even though it's a lot. It's probably on the order of like substantially more, and so it's beyond our ability to comprehend who they are, what they're like. But just imagine they have some kind of distant vantage point where they're just like where we would observe a caveman and we would make observations about their way of being and how they, when they didn't have modern technology or even language. So what do you think they would just say? Like, what are the observations they said? What are we as a species right now in this moment?
I think it's pretty scary if you think about the rate of advancement in the 25th century and how, like, for example, where AI will be. Yeah. I think it would look back and it would really think it'd be really cute, like how naive we are right now, because everything will be so optimized that the fact that we're even predicting the uncertainty, I think it would be interesting in a world a couple hundred years from now how much more advanced it would be.
That's my immediate reaction as well. Is I can't fathom what it will be like to be living a couple hundred years from now. I just think, and then my second reaction was,
We'll still be here.
Yeah, right. But I think, I think we'll look back on this conversation with like some parallel to looking back on like a pre-internet, or like it's not possible to fathom what we as a species, an augmented species, are capable of. But I think that's, I don't know, I reflected that maybe that's a limitation of my own mind to not be able to fully accept that right now. But yeah, hard to comprehend is where my head went. I think I have to agree with you in terms of the limiting factor. Like I feel like us as a species in general, we limit ourselves in what we think is possible, and then say it can't be, but we are our own limiting factors, you know. And I feel like we're gonna look back and be like, how did we think that we couldn't achieve this? It's because we said we couldn't, you know. And yeah, I think they're gonna giggle at how limiting we are, that we didn't trust an algorithm to give us our ability to do whatever we need to do, like Google Maps. Why did they realize they could do it with their own bodies, right? But no, we said we want our autonomy and our freedom, but we can have freedom and autonomy within that too.
Yeah, they might be envious of us. Just because everything is, they might be like, wow, they live such a simple life, and we live in such a fascinating time of like, we're pioneering an inventive time right now that we are discovering so many new things at once that in 400 years, everything might be so precise and efficient that there's kind of not much room left to discover new things. And so I feel like we do live in a very incredible time right now. We're always kind of playing with different things, like you said, like, how can we live forever? Like the fact that that's not even a thing in 400 years, we're like, yeah, of course, like we all live forever, it's not a big deal. But, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, well, it just makes me think of something I'm working on right now. It's more like simplifying more than I think there's just so much data coming at us, and I'm kind of we're human beings supposed to be inputting this much and just kind of and make maybe just sometimes I think in a day it's just 3 good decisions in a day can really help drive a lot of interesting things instead of trying to do 500 things. So I sometimes feel it's like, gosh, there's going to be such involvement coming out, but at the same point, I know I'm really working on also trying to really simplify and kind of like slow it down and not look at too much, be very specific, but my interest, but not getting too clouded with too much data.
I find it almost impossible to make any predictions. It seems like humans are historically bad at making predictions. We're typically blinded by our modern day cultural and social norms. So trying to extrapolate even a couple decades from now seems very difficult. So 500 years seems like something that no one is intelligent enough to say.
Okay, so that concludes thought experiment number 2. So if we retrace our steps and where we've been, the first question is meant to be provocative, and it's meant to create uncertainty. So you're given a binary choice. You say yes or you say no, and you have highly imperfect information. Right? You don't know. And so it creates a space of unknowing. Right? So you immediately imagine, can I still feel happy or sad or depressed? Can I still make my art? Can I still surf? Can I still do highs and lows? Do I still have the autonomy to do this and that? And if you notice in most of your thought patterns, in that unknowing space, you fill the gap with assumptions. So the information was not present in the question. Right? But you filled it in to say, I wouldn't because of the following reasons. And what you also did is you went into your mind, and so you had to deal with this complicated question. You went into your mind, you're like, hey mind, how do I understand reality? Some of you said, well, autonomy. Like autonomy is my model of reality. Like that's how I understand my existence. And if I don't have autonomy, I'm not quite sure why I exist. But autonomy is just simply a social cultural construct. Right? There's many different ways to understand reality. Some of you went to, I want to have an optimized life, or I want to create art. But the point is, you, as a human, you've developed understanding models of reality, and you just chose one. You could have chosen any. You chose one and said, here's my model of reality, and here's how I'm going to solve this complicated question. And you gave your rationale for it. question number 2 sits in stark contrast to that because it reminds us that we look back at previous generations and we're oftentimes pretty harsh in our judgment. We think they're pretty primitive with their decision making. We think that they're pretty antiquated. We can't understand why they didn't understand certain things. And if you go back further in time, it gets even more and more, right? And so by going to the 25th century, it's such a big jump in time that it almost makes us look like cavemen, right? If you look at just make a reasonable estimation of how things will progress, we're so far away from that that they look at us, all our practices, and probably say like, oh, that's kind of cute. Homo sapiens are doing that now. It could be different, but it gives enough of a contrast where we become more humble in our opinions of ourselves and say like, maybe I'm not as confident as I was in my opinion. So the first 2 thought experiments I meant to contrast are knowing and are not knowing. And how we as humans, our superpower is in knowing. We learn things and we make decisive actions. But sometimes that knowing can walk us into a situation where not knowing is actually the more correct answer, but we're blinded to not knowing. Okay, that's number 2, the first phase. All right, next phase. So when I zoom out on planet Earth and I try to quiet everything going on, and just all the daily rustle bustle of drama and politics and like family and personal stuff, zoom out on planet Earth and say, like, what is really happening on this planet in this part of the galaxy? I think there's really only one thing happening, and it's we're giving birth to superintelligence. Nothing is going to be more consequential than the development of this new form of intelligence that will eventually possibly exceed us in all things. Now, in this situation, it is a complicated matter because when you give birth to superintelligence, of course, every human and every group of humans wants to use it for their objectives. Some people want to use it for war. Some people want to use it for gaining social media followers. Some people want to use it for making money. Some want to use it for ideological movements. But everybody has different objectives on what they want to do. And it creates some degree of risk. There's concern that AI may go off the rails and be bad. There's concern that certain countries will get it and do bad things. There's concern people may even get it and then get access to more dangerous weapons. Like, there's all kinds of concerns like what happens when you have this really new powerful thing in the world. And right now we're trying to sort out like how do countries behave with each other? Do we regulate it at a state level? Do you open source it? Do you go closed source? How do you limit users' abilities? Like, we have all these questions emerging. What do you do as a species when you're giving birth to superintelligence? So let me pose this question to you. Imagine we are, together as a group, we are mapping out a practical plan on what we do as a species, okay, as you give birth to superintelligence. Now, this is not ought statements, like we ought to. Our statements need to be, we're going to do. So that means we're going to call our friends, we're going to call friends of friends, we're going to put together a plan. What do we do to make sure that, I guess, to increase our probability that we survive this moment and thrive?
Like, what do we do as a group? I just want to make sure, or as a planet. Are you talking, like, big picture, you're talking about us in this room?
Yeah, as a species.
As a species.
Yeah, so we're going to form a plan of what we go out in the world and do together. Let's
There's no plans made yet, just to be clear. Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so currently,
There's no plan.
yeah, like it's kind of this emergent thing in the world where it's happening real time, it's happening under the umbrella of democracy in the US, it's happening a different way in China, it's happening a different way in Israel, right? There's open source models, there's closed source models, so it's just like an emergent system that people are just doing throughout the world with various economic, political, social, moral, ethical systems of our time and place. So what do we do?
What do we do? What do we do with all these emergent AI technologies? I think you have to set like a rule book, a playbook of what AI is allowed to do, and if it doesn't adhere to that, it has to be thwarted.
Meaning making sure it's not destructive.
Violent, yeah, so if it becomes violent, like, I mean, everyone talks about it, but if the basic answer is AI is like, how do you become the richest man in the world? You kill everybody else. Then it's like, you have to have a playbook of saying AI can't like cause humans death or harm, right? I think also it can't be weaponized in any way by any individual or country to dominate resources or come up with technologies that can then also enslave other people or dominate other people. So I think it has to be a rule book and it has to be an actual way to turn off this superintelligence. It could be an EMP pulse around the whole planet, whatever it is, but there has to be like a backup, I think. But other than that, it's going to happen no matter what. So there is no stopping it. So it's just about creating not just etiquette, but awareness, and then playbook. Yeah. No, that's fine.
Thank you.
It feels like, I mean, the ideal thing to do would be to regulate. I know China was being able to like watermark images to say that this was created with AI, but I mean, at this point, it's already, I think the cat's out of the bag. It's already out there. It's already evolved. We have to hope that we have the right people in the right places to help navigate what's going to happen, because it's certainly going to, we're not expecting is what's going to happen.
I just talked to an AI guy recently who's like works for NVIDIA. NVIDIA. And what he was telling me is like how AI works is just it learns just like us, right? Like the way that a child learns is the way that AI learns, and it just learns faster because you can process things faster. And it's just like it is. If you look at evolution, it seems to appear to be like the next species, right? And like we so desperately want to control things as humanity, right? Especially so that it doesn't harm us. But at the same time, evolution has to go through its process, and harm is sometimes the way that things happen. So I mean, it's not that I'm voting for harm, but I also am voting for like allowing it to learn also, because I feel like if we give it its ability and its freedom that we all want ourselves to learn, then it hopefully will bring the best results.
It feels dangerous to have hope as a strategy, though. You have hope as a strategy, and you have hope as a strategy. That feels kind of tenuous. Not to criticize here.
Yeah, you can criticize it. I mean, I'm just throwing out thoughts right now. But like, I mean, what else is there? I mean, because if we put a playbook, that's going to be destroyed in 2 seconds anyway. It is its own being and thing, and it's almost like we kind of have to like. I mean, and I love AI. I think AI is one of the most exciting things, and also it's scary as fuck, you know, all at the same time.
But it still needs like electricity. It needs chips. It needs like silicon. You know, it needs hardware for it to run. It's not an actual organic being, right? So we're still in control of its its existence. You know. But.
Well, I think it kind of, to me, I just really hope that actually there will be dramatic changes around the world. So, although our United States system is flawed, I do think we still, at the underlying, have kind of the best democratic society in the world. So I think it's that much more important for us to become a leader in this. And kind of there's obviously other regimes and things out there. With North Korea, we want with their value systems to kind of have a lot more control over the world order or things to that effect. And that's just kind of want to make sure the right leadership and that we stay at the forefront to just really, protect ourselves. And I think broadly, can protect a lot of other societies and things as well. If it kind of gets to that, but I think we gotta keep a strong leadership position as this progresses.
I just feel like it's a little too late, isn't it? To put any parameters around it because it's already infiltrated our lives. So it's hard to have that conversation because it's already,
we passed that point.
Yeah, to a certain extent, like you were saying. Obviously, we could pull the power, but we're all using power every day.
So, yeah. it's just impossible to imagine where we'll be in the future, and so therefore it's hard to come up with a strategy now. I think personally I've tried to take a very optimistic stance, and I think that helps me in my little continue on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I think anytime you talk about regulation, I think doing that on a global level is just very challenging, and if it's in one, and it has really unintended consequences too. I think in terms of innovation or having too much power to a particular model. So I think every argument that we are capable of making has its downsides. That again, like looking back on this conversation, I think it would, we have no idea how to fathom it.
Yeah, I still go back to what you said, Mike. Is just you put a playbook in hand to at least set some guidelines and some bumpers. But I think that it is kind of we're too far along to try to guide it in a certain way or completely shut it down. Or I think I would say open source is how it's going to play out. There is going to be some harm along the way, but overall, I think that humanity is net good. But yeah, some people may get harmed along the way. But overall, yeah, you could put some protocols in place and some regulation that not to cause harm to humans. But I think we're already AI is inevitable. So.
We're no longer in charge.
And if we're all wiped out, we don't have to worry about it anyway.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
No, we're not.
Except Ryan, of course. Under the sea. He's got a bunker in New Zealand. Very honest church.
The great thing is that there's so much efficiency. If you do use it for good, AI can be super efficient and a fun creative tool too.
I find that spending time thinking about this, well, like I'm trying to be optimistic, but it actually is quite scary to think about exactly where we are today. And I know many people spend their careers and lives and current day-to-day thinking about just this. I think I'm focused on a different set of problems that AI is actually amazing for on a day-to-day basis. And I think deeply thinking about this question from a species and evolution perspective is, hard.
Yeah. Okay, so if we pattern match this to where we were in the first two questions in the thought experiments we did, this question pattern matched number one. Right? It's a question that has a lot of uncertainty. It's unbounded in its uncertainties. And so you each did the same thing you did before, which is you searched your mind, and you said, how do I understand reality? And you identified one of those models and you applied it to the question. Whether it was democracy or whether it was like humanity in general, humanity's good, or whether it's like we think leadership are important, or we think, you basically chose a model. If you notice that nobody here said, we don't know. So this is again where that hides in plain sight, where these questions come up, and we're up against the limitations of our own knowledge. So the question is, do we know what to do? And revisit an assumption. So if we look at a few moments in time, let's imagine we're in the 1870s, and there's a new idea proposed that it's actually microscopic objects called bacteria that are the source of infection. That's a wild idea. Like things beyond the resolution of the eye are the source of infection. Now, even if you're early to say, I think this is actually a good idea, I think it's actually a legitimate idea. I think these bacteria are real. I think they do cause infection. And it does make sense that if a doctor's washing their hands in between surgeries, then it increases patient outcomes and survival. Now, in that moment, if you say, okay, what is the best protocol for hygiene for the world? If the bacteria exists, now what? Like, what does that mean? And of course, that's an entire science that's developed, right? That pertains not just to hygiene, but to all other aspects of society. Now, the same concept is true now. In that moment, you would have known, and over time, systems build, as knowledge builds, we learn like this and that, and we improve the system here and there. But the process where now we have a pretty good idea like where these things, how they work. So if we're giving birth to AI and we just now understand its nascent abilities, it can do this and that, and we're trying to model out the ability, the first thing that would be important to acknowledge is we are up against a wall of uncertainty. We don't know how it's going to evolve. We don't know what it's going to do. We don't know what it's going to do on certain timeframes. We don't know if we turn it off. We don't know if it's going to, we have no idea what's going to happen. So we're up against a wall of fog. Now, in this moment, this pressure tests our ability to know and not know. And when you go in knowing, it blinds you that you may not know. And so I want to propose something that in this moment, in this most important moment in the history of the human race, we actually don't know what to do. And that no existing form of human thought actually solves the problem. That for example, take democracy as a form of governance. Can we say, democracy, solve this? I don't think solve it. Not all the world is democratic. There are other forms of political systems. If we say, okay, capitalism, you're certainly going to solve this. Probably unlikely. If we say, okay, Christianity, step in and help us out. Islam, pull up. Take any social, moral, ideological, religious construct and apply it. Like, does it actually solve the question? I don't think anything does. So it could be the case that as a species, we are giving birth to a new form of intelligence that's foreign and alien, and that no existing form of human thought is its equal in giving birth. So we have an opening of what could that be. So I'd like to propose to you that opening is don't die. That don't die is the philosophical, economic, political, moral, ethical, and social framework that actually is equal to this moment. And it's really simple. It basically says, don't die is the most played game by every human on this planet every second of every day. It is our 0th order priority. Every few seconds, we're taking in air, right? The majority, a substantial portion of our body is ensuring we don't die. Whether it's killing cancer cells, whether it's getting air, whether we're trying to navigate obstacles, we're trying to not die constantly. Now, once you're not dead, you can do amazing things like create art, and go surfing, and create skincare products. Like, you can do amazing things in the world, but you have to not be dead to do those things. And with that is the only thing, the singular thing the human race agrees upon. There's nothing that the human race agrees with each other on, except for that single concept, which is we don't want to die right now. Now, if you say you want to die in 5 years, we fracture, right, into many different ways. Like some people want to be alive in 5 years, some people don't. Some people will spin up their certain philosophies, but there's a very small number of people who actually want to die right now. So if you build upon that concept, say, great, we've got a starting point. There's actually something we do agree upon that spans all political systems, all economic systems, all social, morals, ethical frameworks. And then if you say, okay, what would this look like roughly as a draft? It's don't die individually, don't kill each other, which is what you were saying, don't kill the planet, and align AI with the objective function of don't die. That when you're giving birth to a form of intelligence that mirrors the abilities of godlike entities which we've imagined throughout the history of the human race, that has these expansive abilities, existence becomes the highest virtue. Not making money, not achieving status, not achieving power, existence. That's what it would want, just to remain alive. And so that's a starting point for, as a species, if we are sober enough to recognize this moment, how consequential this moment is, and we're practical enough to say, we kind of need to put some thought into this. We can either say, all right, world, like you have your systems of democracy and capitalism, socialism, and like you'll sort it out, your religions, or we can say, I don't know about that path, there may be another path. So I'll stop there. What do you guys think about this as an initial hypothesis?
I mean, don't die is a way of saying how we're going to approach AI specifically. In that context, it feels like we should be putting a lot of our energy into figuring out how to make AI help us not die, and have AI be instrumental in medicine. Like if it can do all your panels and look at all your markers and be able to diagnose something with a lot of accuracy where a doctor might have a bias or whatever, that feels like a very good use of AI. It's just, I don't know how else to answer other than that. Just we put our energy into that.
Yeah.
I mean, not only to just don't die, is to how to live optimally. Because what's living if you're just in a little bubble or whatever it is. So if by chance us as humans, if you have an experience and you end up dying, at least you know that you put these certain systems in place to live the most optimally with that time that you have to spend it more with your family or with close friends or have interesting conversations like we're having now. So I would just add on that from just that little perspective.
The one challenge with that is there's perhaps been more murder committed over how to live optimally than any other question in existence.
How?
Yeah.
You mean like through religious wars and stuff? Or you mean?
I mean, what are people disagreeing upon fundamentally? Resources, ideas, right? Vengeance. Basically, it's humans disagreeing on what existence is about and what their goal should be. And so don't die so this is the question. When you're in a luxurious state of, I have life, I have health, you can choose to spend your time any way you want. And people all over the world do that every day. You can be religious, you can be political, you can be economic, you can do all your decisions. But you basically have billions of competing decisions on what to do. Now, when humans have conflict on what to do, we typically resort to violence and try to sort that. And so don't die is a contemplation to say, we're actually in this incredible state of urgency as a species. It's not quite clear that things are okay right now in the world. Like we have several potential existential threats. You may say, not a big deal, like we've survived nuclear weapons for 60 years, we got this. You can also take the other side and be like, kind of scary that we have our fingers on these nuke buttons. And then the climate's changing, so you might say, honestly fine. I don't know, it could be a little dicey. So we have our hands full with some potential risks that we may underestimate. And so if you remember in March of 2020, when COVID hit, do you remember how ferocious the world's response was? Everybody's plans got canceled. Everyone's business meetings, everyone's personal endeavors. You couldn't get surgery for cancer. Like everything.
You couldn't leave the country.
You couldn't leave your home.
Your home, yeah.
And so that's how bad humans don't want to die, right? And so in conflict, but we forget about this. We forget how badly we don't want to die. And so the question for this is, as a species, is the move for us to say, what's the best life for all of us? Or is the move to say, this moment's kind of serious, potentially the most serious in our entire history, and kind of determining the future of intelligent existence in this part of the galaxy? Do we need some kind of original thought in this moment that we're coming back down to say, all right, we legit have one thing in our to-do list, which is don't die. Now, once you secure don't die, right, you can do all the wonderful things with existence you want to do, but this is the contemplation, is where we at. And right now, we are very much in the state of affairs of choose your best life. That's what status quo is. So it presses that question.
Don't die feels a little negative. Instead, what about let's live? Feels a little more uplifting.
Yeah.
Without the fear.
Harm to someone else.
Without the fear. Like let's live because we are enjoying the moment and people that we're with, instead of don't die, because it feels a little restrictive.
Yeah, the challenge with let's live is you can't measure it.
Yeah, it's more subjective. Like how to live optimally as compared to binary. Either you're alive or you're not.
And don't die, exactly. So exactly, your heart's beating and your brain is active and you have conscious thought, or you don't. Now, you take this all the way down to physics. Right? You're now in the second law of thermodynamics of looking at entropy. So don't die is not just a cute narrative about how humans string words together for something fun. It is dealing with fundamental physics and the mathematics of life.
Don't all systems tend to fall to entropy at some point?
Exactly.
So you're saying use AI to figure out how to thwart entropy?
Exactly. I'm saying like when you're giving birth to God, godlike abilities. That godlike ability was like look at the universe and say, I'm calculating the total energy in the universe that could give rise to life, like that I could use for my objectives to be life. And then you simply just want, what you want there is to avoid existence from ending. But you want to assess like, what resources you have to work with. And yes, like, over a certain duration of time, the universe runs out of energy, and it's all just dark and quiet. But we have a long time before that happens. So until then, so it makes sense that as a species where when death is inevitable, when you're going to die, it's like you YOLO your way to your decision making. You say, well, if I'm gonna die anyways, I might as well live my best life, or have the right this, or feel these kind of emotions. But when you're at this critical stage of evolution, it's an invitation that all of our existing ideas about reality are no longer true. All of our preferences, all of our norms, all of our imaginations, all the social, cultural things we've learned about existence, they're no longer antiquated. They would be laughable from 25th century perspective. It's like they were so fixated in that moment, they couldn't see this new emergent thing. And that's the invitation. And so the reason why taking it to physics and math is important is because it's a language that AI can speak. Right? AI is fundamentally math. It's fundamentally matrix multiplication. It's fundamentally a language that it can exist in. So you're bridging the world of human narrative with mathematics and physics, and it kind of brings all things together in some kind of comprehensive framework that intelligence can cooperate on.
So do you define not dying as this physical form, this heart, these lungs, blah, 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 blah? Or is don't die, and this is where it can get tricky, also AI figuring out how to upload your consciousness into a system where you don't actually need a body, but then it still views you as alive because your consciousness is still computating, there's still thought processes within an environment that's just not your body. So it's like, are you saying don't die is in your exact form right now,
Yeah.
Or is it esoteric and it's in this consciousness form that's in a silicon or crystal, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no one knows. So it'd be like in germ theory, it'd be like, okay, so if this is the basic principle, what do we do with it? Would we ever swallow it? Or do we want to kill all of it? Or it's not good, but
But what if you feel that your soul's eternal? So it doesn't necessarily matter if I die today or tomorrow.
Right.
However, while I'm here, I want to live the most fulfilled time in the healthiest form.
Yeah. So the beauty about don't die is that most ideologies in the world are no but. Right? They say, we are correct and you are wrong, and you need to adhere to my lifestyle, or my system, my political system, or my economic system, or my religious framework. Don't die is great. Like, if you believe your soul's eternal and you believe there's an afterlife, wonderful. Still, you don't die right now. Right? So that's how the world is.
I want to be as healthy as I can until the moment that I die.
Yeah, so very few religious people who believe in an afterlife actually want to die right now. Like humanity has solved this idea that it's like, even though we don't have evidence for an afterlife, we don't know if it exists or not, but humans have constructed many stories of like, there's this kind of heaven, that kind of thing. And so humans believe that, it's great. And you can believe that, that and don't die at the same time. They're not a conflict. This is why it's so productive, is that don't die is minimizing risk of violence and war. You're trying to get a system that says, like, let's devise a way where the fewest vectors for death and violence can happen. Now, this is still, like, even if you say yes, I don't die, immediately you have all kinds of ethical, like, you have complications. If you have $1 for don't die, who gets the $1? So you immediately have problems, like, right after that. So it's not that it's just like this utopia problem solving, but directionally it's correct.
But if we're continually giving birth, then how are we going to
the human population
support everyone not dying?
Yeah.
And resources.
Don't die doesn't solve all outstanding questions. It just simply says...
It's just a good question to have.
Yeah, in this moment. So the first thought experiment was basically to say, like, we as a species, we know a lot of things, and sometimes we take our knowing a bit too far. The second thought experiment says not knowing is actually an incredibly powerful form of intelligence. In fact, wisdom right now in 2024 may be those who realize that not knowing is the highest degree of intelligence that a human can occupy. It's no longer knowing. Because knowing, basically people who apply the models now, given that we can't model the world out, people who robustly know and predict are actually demonstrating their ignorance.
Well, think they know.
They think they know.
They might not know, but they think they know, and then they're limiting their thoughts.
So this is the biggest shift of human intelligence is we've always imagined the highest intellect is knowing. That's what we respect and we defer to. But this is one of a unique time where not knowing quickly moves into the more powerful position, where you, by acknowledging that, you open your mind to say there may be different ways to model reality than what I'm accustomed to. And so don't die is basically that to say the intelligence is to know that literally about one thing right now is don't die.
Do you think algorithms will have the potential to understand loving, as opposed to just don't die being like a an equation, like how do I just not, but is there an actual like place for the heart? Yeah, for the concept of love within these algorithms, and not like a mimic version of love, but like a feeling.
The data I like on this is that every time a human has made a prediction that AI can't do something, AI does that thing. Just consistently. And so I look at that and I think it's reasonable to imagine it will do all things.
So Brian, just to like sum up what you're saying is if we had our whole like one question or one quest that we're all looking at is do not die, we would unite as humanity and as AI is kind of what you're hypothesizing?
Exactly. So like practically what this means and why we did the biology testing tonight is, so the past 4 years, I asked that question, like, is the craziest question in existence right now, are we the first generation to not die? And if you say, what does that look like? I've tried to become the most don't die person in human history. What does that look like? So if you say on a daily basis, every one of us dies a little bit as we age. And then there are things that accelerate the aging process. If I breathe polluted air, I die a little faster. If I eat junk food, I die a little faster. If I eat fried food, I die a little faster. If I sleep poorly, I die a little faster. So we try to isolate and say, what are all the things that increase the rate of death and the progression of disease? And we try to stop all those things or minimize those things. And then we said, what are all the ways I've already died, being a 43-year-old person, and how do you reverse the aging damage? Now in doing this, we've achieved the best health markers of anybody on planet Earth in 4 years' time. They show that you can go through a systematic process of measuring die. And so you came in, you saw the air quality, we had water quality, we did bio-age tests, you had your foods, tested foods, so you're seeing this at play. And so it makes sense that when people look at me right now, they say, that guy's really weird. Like, he really should spend more time doing blank and blank. What they're doing is they're applying their current 2024 model of reality, and I'm different than that reality. But they don't realize that what I'm trying to demonstrate is a new model of existence that doesn't exist yet, where you would do anything just to secure existence. Because the play space, like if we can get past this moment of not destroying ourselves, if we can get past the moment to stabilize AI to some degree, whatever that means, the play space for us may be 1,000,000 times bigger than what it is right now. If you like zoom out and say, okay, there's two basic ideas on why is there not intelligent existence in this body, and why can't we detect intelligent existence? So the dark forest theory says when a civilization becomes sufficiently intelligent, it immediately hides itself. It doesn't want to be threatened by other civilizations that are intelligent. The other argument is the great filter argument, which is when civilizations reach a certain point of technological advance, they kill themselves. They can't punch through. And so whether those are two general approximations that I think about, whether there are civilizations that are punch through and now they just hide themselves, or whether there's been other civilizations like us, they get to a certain point, and we know this like from our experiences, our willingness to destroy ourselves and each other and the planet, right? Like it's like we we have these tendencies. And so we can see a scenario where we
just have a French fry.
Exactly.
What's that gonna hurt?
We blow it.
I'm gonna look in the moment.
So could we, like on a galactic scale, is it possible that we are potentially one of the first intelligent civilizations ever that has the opportunity to punch through, and when others reach this stage, they don't identify that their existing systems, which were built when they were much more primitive, didn't map to when they became on the verge of giving birth to superintelligence, of whatever form it is. And that this could be the defining moment for us as a species. We actually get this right and punch through and make this transition.
Do you think all species, let's say hypothetically from any other planet, will always follow this destiny path of creating superintelligence? Do you think it's like in the evolutionary playbook that it's like a butterfly thing that we're creating? You know what I mean? Or do you think we're unique in that?
Yes, there's many really interesting theories on whether all these systems are identical. There's really good arguments. So I don't know, but there's interesting arguments that these systems are universal. They play throughout the galaxy. They were made of the same matter. I don't know, but it's a really fun thought experiment.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It's a super interesting thought process. And I think I've always found it super interesting to look at the startup ecosystem and realize the very limited number of people, of entrepreneurs that choose to spend their time on death. It's a very small subset of people that want to wake up every day and think about human existence. And so as you were talking, I think this movement around longevity and it being something positive is such a different spin and way of extending existence is a really interesting way of looking at things, actually doing the work around that, having a handful of highly motivated individuals to combine with this kind of superhuman ability. I think it places society at a really interesting position, both from the intersection of so many things, but also just from, I think, a big part of human existence is not wanting to grapple with this question on a day-to-day basis. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Brian, I would love to get your perspective on this. So let's say, really, it's like, at what point is a human a human? If a woman was carrying a child, and I don't want to get too controversial here, but I mean, a woman was carrying a child, and her life was in jeopardy, right? And she could either, let's say, she wanted to sacrifice her life in order for her child to live, or if her life was in jeopardy, and that would mean that would be the end of the child's life. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to answer that question, but that's just in terms of life and death, in terms of sacrificing your life for another, or taking the life of another in order for you to live on.
As a mother, I would definitely want my children to live. I'd be like, take me.
Because biological, like it is not to die, but our also biological purpose why we're on planet Earth is to reproduce.
And
like,
to procreate,
it is what drives us as a species. Yes.
Like there's no question.
And being a mom,
you just like,
of course, make sure that your offspring does not die.
Yeah. I'm like, take me, don't take them.
Yeah, so one way you can think about this is like when the US was 13 colonies, and they said, the British monarch is doing an okay job, but we think we can do a better job. We think by voting in our representatives and having our own tax code and making decisions, we're going to be better than the monarch. And so they adopted a new framework of governance, democracy. Now, in that moment, they didn't have all the questions answered. They didn't know how they were going to solve federal rights and state rights, how they were going to solve who gets to vote and when. They had slavery to solve. Like, there was all these complicated questions to solve. And it wasn't that they just said, we know what to do. They just said, we're going to directionally point there. Like, we're going to become a system of this democratic rule. And so it's now taken us over 200 plus years. We're still fighting. Like, what is a democratic society? And so the same is true with don't die. Right? There's relevant don't die ethics. And this is one. If her life is in danger, right? many people would express the opinion that Miranda said, which is great. Like that's a new ethical framework working within Don't Die. So it's not necessarily critical that we solve those, because those are basically unsolvable problems as it relates to a person's decision making. But it's trying to point in a direction to say, yes, we have a lot of complexity in our hands. Totally agree. Also, like what we're doing now may not be adequate, and we do want to put ourselves in this new system of being, and we get working on that. So just as a species, it's like practically, like you can imagine Don't Die very easily implemented into society. So like this conversation, you can see it took us about an hour to arrive here, where you're just barely open to this new idea, but you're still swirling with all your thoughts, right? It's very complicated, and you're mapping old ideas onto new ideas, and creates all this internal tension. So maybe some practical ways where it could just easily flow into society. So based upon what I've been doing with Don't Die, we're measuring all my biomarkers, we're quantifying that. Now you can bridge that to something tangible like smoking a cigarette costs someone 11 minutes of life on average. There's variance according to person's genetics. Some people can smoke all their life and not die. It's like there's variance, but generally speaking, 11 minutes of life to smoke a cigarette. Now let's take that same principle and say, let's score a school lunch of a child in America. Okay, so let's say and you're a school teacher, so they're eating pizza and chocolate milk in a plastic lined container. Exactly. Yeah. So we can do some approximation on what is the die score. So the child eats that. We are feeding our kids die. Now you can
That's why in the system of the schools, this is where this should start.
Exactly. So that is so practical. We understand. It's one thing where if you say, hey, so-and-so, like smoking's not good for you, they'll say, off, I like to smoke and I'm living my best life. I'm gonna live if I want to. If you say, we're feeding our kids die, it's very hard to really encourage that. So that's something that's very practical, right? You can also say, a politician can try to earn office by saying, my district has the best health markers because of the changes we've made to air quality and water quality and community health services and our availability of clean foods and tested foods. So they can campaign on the idea of life. So it doesn't have to be Don't Die. And the only reason why we go back to Don't Die is it just needs to be mathematically correct. It needs to be based upon physics.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too fragile an idea.
Yes.
So but otherwise, as the world doesn't need to understand the philosophy. They don't need to go through the thought experiment of knowing and not knowing. They don't need to assess whether systems are good or bad. They just want to look and feel and be their best. They can adhere to Don't Die philosophy by doing what they do today. And so this is really an attempt to say changing societal systems. This is not asking an individual to be superhuman in their discipline. This is to say as a species, we lock in to build that. And so you could basically take what I've done with my body. So we measure the biological age of all my organs, we apply the scientific evidence into the data. You do the same thing with planet Earth. So now you measure Earth with 1 billion data points. You say, okay, what is actually a biosphere that supports humans on the planet? It's emergent science, right? What is an appropriate coral reef environment? What is the appropriate marine environment? What kind of toxins are okay in our food supply chain? How much pollution should be in the air? You can quantify some things, and as you get out further and further, there's less certainty, but you can basically approach Earth as a scientific experiment where we say we're going to make Earth a sustainable, safe place for us. Because the problem right now is that we treat planet Earth the same way we treat our bodies. That relationship is identical.
So do you think we start with food and then get people caring about their own bodies first, and then it starts to go big picture into the planet? Like, what do you think is the easiest, maybe easy is the wrong word, but just like most appropriate, thing to go at?
Children are what really are the future, obviously, right? Like they're the ones that are paving the way. So starting with children learning that way, because they're not educated, that's why they're not doing better if they're not educated. Like I talk to my kids all the time.
So then you're saying
about the food
education
choices
is the
they
first thing
make.
we should like.
Yeah, education. I would say, because when you're educated and you know better, then you do better. But if you're uneducated, you're just living blindly and you don't even realize the damage you're doing. You're like, ooh, this cupcake tastes delicious.
And just to go on everything that you're saying is like if we learn how to get kids to use data to drive their own decisions, they get to make those decisions for themselves. But we also have to have systems in place for that data to even be evaluated.
Like when Miranda's buying food for her family, she's not going to be able to see the third-party lab results of every single thing. So Miranda needs to have confidence that she's going to buy food from a system that is producing the fewest number of contaminants possible. So
ironically, I've actually tested a lot of the food that we have.
So you've seen the same thing I have.
Yes,
Just like
a lot of lead, cadmium, there's mercury, like in food that you think is healthy and organic, and that people are buying in these health food stores.
Exactly.
They're not what they say they are.
That is so accurate.
And a lot of the time, even these companies don't realize.
I just came back from India, and India is better off solving air quality than it is curing all cancer. They would extend lives more. And the interesting thing was nobody wears a mask. Nobody has air purifiers. People go out and run and exercise. They
have no other choice,
but they've completely normalized. And so when we were going out, I carried an air purifier with me. Like, it was a big system. I carried it with me every
place. You guys a little one? I think you can wear a little one, right?
Yeah, but we need to clean the entire room. So I would like show up to our meetings with this gigantic air purifier, and then we had all these monitors. And then I come back to the US. So it's not just India. I come back to the US. The US, 42% of adults are obese. So we have a similar air pollution problem with obesity. And so we're 13th worst in the world. And so we're just blind to these realities. And so it's to your question.
They're not educated. Like people don't know. Like they don't know the specifics. If I'm going to eat this, it will, prevent me from living this amount. I mean, some of that data is coming out, but it's not mainstream, and it's not something that children are learning about.
Also, like India has like two-stroke engines everywhere, no catalytic converters in their cars. Like the air quality is so bad because of how many people are driving vehicles that essentially pollute. Like I saw it in Thailand. Yeah. It's all scooters. And,
So the invitation here is that we're inviting the entire world to build Don't Die at the same time. Like build it for kids, build it for food, build it for air, build it for clothing, build it for emergency systems, build it for AI, build it for antibiotics. Like take any and all fields of existence, psychology, sociology, ideology, like take any area of life and infuse it with a new structural change of Don't Die.
We're living at the optimal, right?
Yeah, just rewrite society. So it has to be this. Don't Die is not a centralized organization with a leader that says do this and do that. It is saying
Science.
as a species. Yeah, this is everybody has to do this and be this. We have to build new systems. We have to have new political systems, new economic systems. And so the same way that capitalism works, because it's one number, is how much money do you have. And so whether you like it or not, everybody plays capitalism every single day. You can't avoid playing capitalism. Don't Die is the exact same way. It's one number. And everybody plays Don't Die, whether they like it or not. And so it's very friendly to numbers and systems and quantification. It gives humans a game to play. Right? It's a status game. It's a power game. It's an infinite rabbit hole of fun. Like playing Don't Die. A lot of people think playing Don't Die is not fun. It's actually really
Oh shit, sorry guys.
Society in new imagined ways. And so that's what this conversation is about. Is like if we just retrace our steps, we're trying to zoom out on our existence.
I think I walked.
Possible minds.
So it's don't die no matter what, under any circumstance.
Well, it's so there's nuance, right? So like whether a mother's life is threatened, that's a
It's too
nuanced
far
ethical
away.
situation. But like it's the gist of the direction, and then we build new ethical and social frameworks.
So let's say that a freak accident, you're a vegetable, and your son has to make a call.
Yeah.
Do you say, hey, I'm no longer productive in society, I'm completely wiped down, whatever, cold blood.
Yeah.
He's going into debt because of medical costs. Yeah.
Make it out alive. Nice. Shit. Guess that was all. I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna hit the hay and knock out, and because I gotta take care of something this in the morning, and then I'm gonna hop on. One more.
Sounds good.
Yeah. If whoever's gonna stay, yeah, you could always hit up the runes chat. There seems to be people like Mifel. You could just try to get some members joining in. That quack is yes, sir.
Heck no, I'm gonna go eat dinner, take a break, get some sleep. Yeah, this is the last round for me too. Good games,
Oh,
though,
okay.
guys.
Yeah, likewise. Nice, nice flow to it all. I haven't checked my inventory. See how much we got. Nice surprise. Dadger, I can't. He had like 11,000. I think it was yesterday. He probably grinded all day for the blue timeless shards. But he had a lot. I wonder how long it took him. I think I might just do timeless shards tomorrow. Dependent on trying out to see how many I could do. I'll head over to the temple to see. Now that I think about it, the last test, the enemies were respawning, and there was a huge bot problem because you can get the pity roll for free land. So the fact that you have to escape and then go back in kind of cuts down maybe on the botting of this playtest.
Well, yeah, that, and you pretty much can't really do it single-handedly either.
Yep. Between those two things, it feels like.
You know, the amount of resources you get just by doing it by yourself is almost negligible.
Mm-hmm.
You really need 4 people and the as you saw the omens going.
Right. So some good signs there. I think that's it. Okay, let's escape. Or did we do the Demogorgon? Demogorgon? I think we did. No, we didn't. Alright. I'm gonna escape. Yeah, we got those guys on the left hand side. Everybody dead. I'm gonna escape now. Escape dungeon. Alright, GG's everybody. Thanks for the games. See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah. See y'all tomorrow or whenever.
Okay.
Alright.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.